The 2005 Toyota AFL Premiership season. Proudly brought to you by Tooheys New. It's all good. Harvey Norman, there's a store near you. Jim Beam, stay true. Bunnings Warehouse. And Toyota, supporting the 2005 AFL Premiership season.
They are two teams on the rise, and for today's winner, a rare spot in the top 8 is on offer. It's the AFL's rivalry round, and the Tigers and Bulldogs have developed a healthy competitiveness in recent times, although today the desperation will be a little more acute. For Terry Wallace, it's a homecoming of sorts. For Rodney Eade, another chance to stamp his mark on his talented young pups. It's the Western Bulldogs versus Richmond at the Telstra Dome on Fox Footy's Interactive Sunday.
Yes, it is rivalry round in the AFL, and in recent years it has been hot between the Western Bulldogs and Richmond, and it is certain to be that today because under the roof at the Dome it's currently 34 degrees as this Indian summer continues. Hi everyone, welcome to Fox Footy Sunday. Grybas with Gerard, Healy and Wayne Carey with you for what's going to be an intriguing battle here this afternoon. And for Gerard, it's a vital one because the stakes are high. For one of these clubs, 2-1 after 3 rounds, a good return.
Yeah, if you're any club, you just want to keep racking up the wins. And the Bulldogs were stiff last week. It was a great comeback after Melbourne put them to the sword early. So I think their form is pretty good, the Bulldogs. And we saw the Tigers win on Fox Footy last week against Hawthorn. Not a great game. And on the balance of what we've seen so far, you would anticipate that the Bulldogs will go in as favourites.
Bad news for the Tigers with Kane Johnson, a late withdrawal from this match. Andrew Rains will come in. Wayne Carey, how do you see it unfolding today?
Oh, look, I'm really looking forward to some of the key matchups. Coughlan West, a young gun against a champion. 5 best and fairest West. Coughlan up and coming. Had a game, got back into the game a little bit last week. Looking forward to that matchup. And also Grant Richardson. You know, 2 older players. Grant been sent down back because he hasn't been performing too well forward on the gun forward, Matty Richardson. So looking forward to that. Let's have a look at how the teams line up. And this Western Bulldog team may not be having gun forwards kicking goal, Gerard, but they are kicking goals regardless. 15-21 against Melbourne last week. Bobbing up, Cooney with 4, Johnson kicked 3, Gilby kicked 3. We see Smith playing up forward.
Yeah, good contribution all around. They have got a side that is so flexible. It's you can imagine that some of their forwards will play as defenders, etc. by the way they're lining up. I think a couple of important players. Important Gerard Rawlings to have a good game. I think that his position is completely under threat and he needs just to lock down if he gets named as a defender. And Luke Darcy, I think the AFL and the umpiring department will be closely monitoring whether or not he runs across the line. They need Darcy to dominate the big men if they're to win.
And some important matchups in the Tiger forward line. They are tall with Stafford and Simmons, Richardson there as well. So certainly expect Chris Grant to start down back for the Bulldogs. Trent Noble in for the Tigers. He'll be the man to go against Darcy from the opening. And Nathan Brown, he will captain the Tigers today in the absence of Kane Johnson against the club for whom he gave 7 years of good service. Rodney Eade, the coach. There are the benches for the Bulldogs, while off the benches for Terry Wallace coming up against his old club. That's how the benches will unfold. One player we've enjoyed watching this year, Mitch Hahn of the Bulldogs, up to 75 senior games now, and he's shown that he can be a premium midfielder.
Well, the best thing about Mitch for the Bulldogs is he adds a little bit of bulk and a bit of grunt, and he's prepared to hit in hard. They've got a lot of light-framed gentlemen around him, and he adds that little bit of balance. His first week against Collingwood was outstanding when he kicked a couple of fantastic goals for them. He is a power player in the middle, and he just needs to add consistency to his very best games, and you've got a star player.
We know what Mitch Hahn can do. Talking about star players, well, Nathan Brown is a star, Wayne. 23 possessions and 3 goals against Hawthorn last week. He's a class act. He's captain today against his old club. How's he going to go?
Yeah, look, he'd be wanting to have a big game today, and he was the player last week that stood up when he needed to stand up. He took a fantastic mark deep in the forward line. It was a mark that he had to take, and he took it, went back, kicked the goal, and that was really the goal that sealed the game for the Tigers last week. That's what he has to do again today if they're to win.
Yep, it's going to be a terrific afternoon. We're sweating up already. We might head up to the air-conditioned comforts of the commentary box. Wayne Schwass's boundary side is going to tell us about a man who booted 10 goals in this match last year.
Corresponding game this time last year, Matthew Richardson kicked a lazy 10 goals for the Tigers in their victory against the Bulldogs. So often the barometer, Matthew Richardson, if he's on song, then generally the Tiger faithful are singing the Tigers tune as well. They get the ball in there nice and quickly, give the big full forward plenty of room and opportunity. He'll go a long way to kicking a big bag of goals again this afternoon. Importantly, though, for the Bulldogs, a man that was missing in that match last year, Brian Harris, was out with suspension. He's now spent 3 years in the AFL's jungle and looks set to continue his evolution into one of the intimidating fullbacks of the competition. Now, there's plenty of sibling rivalry as well as bragging rights at stake this afternoon, with the Western Bulldogs' Patrick Bowden up against his older brother, Joel Bowden. Now, Patrick Bowden's one of these creative forwards who can certainly find the football, may match up against his older brother who rediscovered his footballing ability last year, camped in defence in that second half of the season. The Bulldogs haven't beaten the Tigers since round 10, 2002. And for the Tigers, well, they're in a rare position of winning back-to-back matches, something of a rarity in recent times. And as we throw to the break, why don't we listen to Matthew Richardson and Rowan Smith talk about that infamous clash between Tony Liberatore and Matthew Knights back in 2001.
I guess it's going to be a big one just for the fact that it's Terry's old team as well. You know, he obviously coached out there for a number of years, so that brings a fair bit of competitiveness into the game. He's not going to want to lose to them. And, you know, there's been a few little things over the years with the Bulldogs, with the Liver and Knighter thing that stirred up quite a bit of emotion a few years ago. So, yeah, it's going to be a big game.
Obviously, we've played Richmond a couple of times and had a couple of spiteful clashes with Liver and Knights and those bloody times, I suppose. But, yeah, obviously, Terry Wallace being their coach this year again, it's going to make that rivalry a little bit more. You know, Nathan Brown leaving us and going to Richmond. And so it's going to be another hard clash.
Enjoy the big hits and great goals.
Oh, good play, Cracker. Over to his brother.
As we unlock the Fox Footy Vault. Tuesdays on Fox Footy Channel.
From the Fox Footy Vault, Tuesday.
You're gonna die!
I've never seen anything like this. His ass is immense. Dougie just refuses to drink any other bourbon. You know what we're witnessing here tonight? We're witnessing a man staying true to the world's finest bourbon.
Clean up at Bunnings Warehouse with the lowest prices every day. Catalogue out now. Click 4-way power board with dust cover, just $8.50. GMC electric hedge trimmer, a low $39.99. Aluminium work platform, only $59. 2 kilo first aid lawn repair kit, a low $9.95. Parfix all-purpose silicone, just $4.98. If you happen to find a cheaper price on a stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%.
Bunnings Warehouse.
Lowest prices are just the beginning.
On Foxtel Box Office this April, experience Mother Nature's dark side. Dennis Quaid and Jake Gyllenhaal, The Day After Tomorrow. Game, set, and a perfect match.
Hate this one, and I'll sleep with you.
Kirsten Dunst and Paul Bettany in Wimbledon. Can two divorce lawyers find matrimonial bliss with each other? Pierce Brosnan and Julianne Moore find out in Laws of Attraction. Ethan Hawke and Julie Delphi rekindle the magic in the romantic sequel Before Sunset. Prepare for the new generation, the all-action adventure Thunderbirds. Scarlett Johansson is Colin Firth's enigmatic muse in Girl with a Pearl Earring. The best sound, the best pictures, the best movies. This April on Foxtel Box Office, where movies come first.
Wednesday on AFL Love Match, how is host Rebecca Wilson going to control these AFL greats as Doug Hawkins and Robert DiPiadomenico go head-to-head?
Who won the 2004 AFL Grand Final? The Dippers.
The Lions.
AFL Love Match, a real test of teamwork. Wednesday on Fox Footy Channel.
Yeah, well, there's been a bit of rivalry in the past between the two sides, I suppose, with a few actions on field, but this one's probably got a little bit more sting in it with both myself and Nathan Brown going back against the Bulldogs again, so it looks like being an interesting venture.
It's going to be an interesting adventure indeed for that man as well, Nathan Brown. 7 years at a Bulldog jumper. His former teammate Luke Darcy, captain of the boys from Whitten Oval this season, and from the coin toss, it's been won by Nathan Brown. The Tigers to head to the Coventry end in the opening term. The Telstra Dome roof is closed today. A storm has just closed in on Melbourne late. It is very, very hot inside though, and it will remain above 30, you would think, for much of the afternoon. And it's a melancholy feeling for the Telstra Dome staff here today. Their chief executive and Carlton president Ian Collins, if you didn't catch the news, suffering a heart attack yesterday. The current status is that he is recovering in hospital after undergoing triple bypass surgery this morning. Ian admitted to the Epworth Hospital last night after suffering a mild heart attack. He's recovering in intensive care, where he's expected to remain for the next 3 days. We wish him and his family all the best.
Yes, we'd echo those sentiments. We wish you well, Colo, but we did see Wayne Carey starting on the bench.
And a little bit of feeling as well out there.
Also, Pettifer, the hero of last week, kicking a couple of goals in the last quarter, also starting on the bench.
Going to be an intriguing afternoon as the warning is laid down by umpire Stuart Wynn to Noble and Darcy.
And Rawlings starting forward.
And Brian Harris starting with Richo in a scuffle at centre-half forward.
And it's getting a little heated down there as they get close to one another. Now Richo puts the hands in the air. Free kick, is it? We'll wait. Yes, Matt Stevic has called a free kick for high contact. Bulldogs will take it. We won't get an opening bounce today. Rivalry round living up to the billing. Darcy going for Cooney. Takes the mark 60 metres out from the Bulldog goal. He booted 4 last week. Really having a standout season. Great smother there by Hartigan. Chris Grant had it knocked away. Troy Simmons runs onto it. Explosive opening. Long going back. Richard! Play on the call. Didn't hang onto it long enough. Oh, the big fella won't be happy about that.
Well, the pleasing thing about that is Richo got into the right position and looks dangerous already.
And the other interesting thing was it was a long kick to centre-half forward, saw Richo one out.
Here go the Bulldogs, building through midfield with Gilby delivering over the head of Darcy.
Good start, Rawlings.
Nice pickup, lays it off for the skipper. Back to Jade, 65 out. Floating kick inside the 50, awkward ball. Tuck. Terrific on Mitchell in the second half last week. Plays for the boundary line, finds it. We'll check a few more matchups.
Well, Jade Rawlings would be thrilled to get the ball a couple of times. We'll have a look at his free kick, but obviously wouldn't have been wrapped at that kick. Here's the free kick as
left of screen, yeah.
And it was big Trent Noble, I think, who
very
gave
tiggy
it away.
Touchwood. I can't believe how they can pick up free kicks like that when that happens 100 times a game.
And you might notice the black on the Tigers jumper today, below the number. The TAC logo has been covered up this week as Chaffee brought down by Eagleton. Good tackle, ball held in the bounce.
They really have wiped off 5. Yeah, there was Simmons up the other end of the ground. He's an athlete and a half. Chris Grant will have a major job curtailing his athleticism. As the Bulldogs bench, a lot of small players adding to the mobility.
Crowd above 26,000 in the early going now. Noble, did he cop a finger in the eye or something? He pulled out of that contest. Krakouer brought down by Smith. Now Jackson keeping it low, and Rawlings doing it all. Bulldogs fleet of foot through midfield here. Giansiracusa for Johnson. Good spoil by Newman, and Cooney can't keep it in.
Interesting role that Rawlings is playing. He started at full forward. Basically what he's done from there is drifted up onto the ball, and although you can't see it, he's now a loose man across half-back for the Western Bulldogs.
It's working for him. He's had 3 touches.
Darcy flicking it over the top. Tuck for Krakouer. Quick hands for Hyde. Now Hartigan. The younger names of the Tigers combining there. That's a good sign. Hartigan brought down. Murphy didn't give up on the tackle. Hartigan drives it to the pocket, makes Stafford work. Rawlings and Harrison against him. And it's over for a boundary throw-in.
Now, Gerard, was that holding the ball very similar to Aaron Hamill last week? Did he dispose of the ball correctly?
I think that one may feature on the couch tomorrow night, because they looked exactly the same, but the umpire saw it was knocked out in the tackle. Wasn't a complete tackle. Play on.
We might have another look in a while as Tuck's high ball towards the hot spot. Rawlings flying. Krakouer waiting down, the opportunist forward. kicks the opening goal. And that is exactly where you want Andrew Krakouer.
Yeah, it was a deep kick straight into the forward line, and we can see already today that they're going a lot more direct. They're going to use Matty Richardson, get it in there quickly, and Krakouer at the foot of that pack kicking a lovely goal.
Well, here it comes. There's the contest, and there's young Andrew Krakouer. One step, goal.
And Coughlan running with Cooney early will be one to look out for. There's Richo trying to get rid of McMahon. Still not happy. Back in the centre. Tigers on the board first. Which club will be 2-1 after 3 rounds and safely in the top 8? Tivendale feeds Bowden. Now Hyde. It's a good build-up. 60 out. Long to the hot spot. Big leap Noble at the back. Grant waiting down now. Here's McMahon. Has time to steady. Options only short. West. 30-touch game last week against Melbourne. Now Harrison. Down the line he goes for Bowden of the Patrick variety.
It's a great kick and a good lead. And the Tigers with Stafford at full forward gives them structure. They're going very direct.
Like Collingwood in the second half yesterday, as Cooney can't control that one, and it's a boundary throw-in.
He's an important player for them, Greg Stafford, Wayne. I just think he gives them a little bit of nous up there. He gives them a bit of class, and he gives them plenty of structure.
Also a little bit of mongrel too.
And that never hurts. Opening 5 minutes. Gilby and Krakouer. Now McMahon needs to be quick. Simmons closing. Good tackle from the big man. Krakouer away. Field opens up for him. Keeps it low. Targets Richo. Gotta love that. Go back and have a shot, Matthew.
Centre-half forward's an easy spot when the midfielders are delivering it like that.
Matthew Richardson's eyes would light up every time Andrew Krakouer got the ball with no pressure coming through the midfield. Beautiful kick.
10 in this match last year. The Tigers have won the last 3 between the two clubs. 586 for his career. 51 metres out. He started well today.
You get the feeling that they're going to leave space to Matthew Richardson and go a lot more direct to him. It's a great plan by Richmond. I think Matthew Richardson, if he gets that type of space, he may well kick another 10.
Yeah, he's well, Robert Walls told us early on in his career he was going to kick 17 goals. We're still waiting. But I reckon Tiger fans would settle with around about 8, 9 or 10 today, and that would be an electric day. Brian Harris would have to be Carl Lewis to stop him when the ball is delivered like that. And that's a great kick from Richo. It's a good structure up forward for the
they're
Tigers.
tall, aren't they? You look down there and there's Richo, and then there's Noble now in the goal square with Simmons taking the centre bounce. And as you mentioned, Stafford as well. Some targets for the Tigers. That didn't look impressive. West brought down. Jackson. Caught. Cooney. He's usually pretty classy with the footy. Gives Johnson a chance. Had his arms knocked away. No free kick paid there. Interesting. Delidio. Handball for Newman in the back pocket. This way, that away. Goes short. That's effective. Bowden. Now, leading to space, Simmons. Tigers are playing with some rare confidence here. Hyde. Had to wait for it. Oh, but he was up to it. Stafford dives. Can't get there. Grant hacks it off the ground. Delidio in his 3rd game. Joel Bowden out wide. This is Kellaway. He started on Hahn. He goes to half forward, and here's Richo. Now he'd be about 1 metre or 2 further out than his last kick, but that carried the journey comfortably.
The confidence is up, and Richo's, as soon as he marked that ball, he was always going to have a shot. He turned the back and knew that he could kick the distance.
He is a confidence player. He's close to the man on the mark. Man on the mark actually put the hand up, appealed that he touched it. It doesn't matter. The ball's out to the right for a behind.
Well, still, we don't know whether Brian Harris has got the pace to go with Richo. I'm sure he has. Otherwise, Rodney Eade wouldn't have matched them up. But at this stage, the lead has been so good, and it's been honoured by a brilliant kick, that he's being exposed badly.
I'm not sure you could do anything with kicks like that.
Rowan Smith.
You can see the difference, though. You've got Brad Johnson at one end, and he's having to lead pretty wide to get his leads.
Yep.
The other end, they're just going to the goal square.
Here's Rawlings in space on the wing. Towards half forward. Gasper pushing into Patrick. Bowden kept his feet.
dances past a couple of would-be tacklers. Chaffee, Hyde, get rid of it quickly and long. Brown first chance, and he's got it. No, play on.
That is unbelievable, umpire.
The umpires have put the whistles away today in contrast to a couple of matches yesterday. Bulldogs now. Burrs going short. Rawlings feeding it to Rowan Smith. The general of the defence kicking along towards his great mate Johnson. Patrick Bowden waiting down. Spinning. Caught. Handball wide of Johnson. Simmons now. Here's Hartigan off of half-back. Good block provided by Chappie. Frees up Hartigan for another bounce. Krakouer all alone. Started well. Fingertipper got it. Now, Richo doubling back. Calling long Noble. Brown leading as well. Krakouer goes to Richo.
It's working, it's working. And Richo set it up, another one for Big Stafford, and he is a good shot at goal. He's a better shot at goal than Richo is. So that is putting some pressure on him.
If it's basketball right now, Gerard, Rodney Eade is calling a timeout, I think, to restructure his back line.
Well, I think the back line are under the pressure because they're losing the ball in the middle and up in the forward line. They've got it into the forward line a number of times, but it's just been rebounded straight back out. They haven't been able to take a mark inside forward 50. At the other end of the ground, they've got 2 or 3 targets, and this right now is looking pretty lopsided.
We know Rodney Eade loves the flood. I wonder how long it'll take him to actually put it into action.
It's flooding outside. They got the roof closed just in time.
Yeah. An almighty storm closing in on Melbourne quickly in the hour leading up to the start of this match. And Wayne Schwass diving for the wet weather gear. We're happy to say he's safe boundary side as Stafford misses to the right-hand side.
Extraordinarily, it was 27 degrees outside about a minute before the game started and 32 degrees inside. So they've trapped the humidity inside, and the Bulldogs would be pretty happy to get away with that one. Here's a chance for them.
Murphy on the end of the kick-in from Lindsay Gilbey. Who has started the season well. Kicked 3 goals last week, now doing the kick-in duties as Hahn marks, defensive side of the outer wing. It's a Bulldog home game today, but it's not a ground at which they perform well at. They've won just 2 of their last 22 here. The Tigers winning just 1 of their last 7. Gasper to Chaffee at this ground. Now
4 Bulldogs in defence without men. That's a flow.
Noble.
And working. What's the bounce?
Awkward kick. Harrison couldn't trap it. There's a free kick for a push, and it's going against Richardson to Hargrave. And the man on the mark will be brought back by Stuart Wynn. So a momentary pause. Tigers 2-2. Bulldogs yet to trouble the scorers. Harris just hurting his knee there as he fell under Kellaway. He's trying to throw the trainer off, but he's still just a little bit proppy. Harris in the back pocket.
Got the overlap working well here.
McMahon back for Harris. About to run into Stafford. Rawlings back for Harris, who keeps on running. Drives it very wide, but effectively for Giansiracusa. Now this is better. Elects to drive it long to the hot spot. Getting back Hahn. Brad Johnson awaiting the crumbs, as is Eagleton. Chance. Tigers holding up for the time being. The old Tommy Hafey Tiger tough. Hard at it there. Gasper for Chaffee. Clearing for Kellaway. He finds space, but there's plenty of blue jumpers back. So that's why he elected to handball to Tivendale. Still with Greg Tivendale. Bereft of options downfield. Heads wide. Richardson clever for Krakouer. Boot the ball quickly, wanting it to land inside the line, and it's out of bounds for a Bulldog through.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of structure in the Bulldog forward line. They've got a number of small forwards, but they haven't got a big target that they can go too strong.
They always look better when Luke Darcy is there. They've got a couple of other options, Bandy and, well, even Rawlings can go into the ruck.
Harrison to centre half forward. Tigers, though, again with numbers. Here's Hartigan. Tigers doing a lot of carrying the ball and bouncing. Long kick. Grant in front of Noble, knocking it down. McMahon about to be collared. Did well, got it for Hargrave. Out wide, Lindsay Gilbey. Here's Wayne Schwass.
Yeah, in regards to what Wayne just said about not having tall targets forward, the Bulldogs, the reason for that is Jade Rawlins starts to centre half forward and just camps himself in front of Richardson when the ball's in play.
I think what the plan is that Rawlings goes onto the ball and Darcy, the captain, pushes to centre half forward, but I think they'd look better if they pushed him to full forward.
And Darren Gasper has got off to a fine start. I was a little critical of him last week. But, he has started fantastically well, and back to the old Darren Gasper today.
Excellent.
Tuck, 60 out, left half forward. Long to the goal square. Richardson with a couple to beat. Oh, his brother-in-law was there to take it away from him.
And there's the full forward of the Bulldogs, taking a mark at full back.
He's currently playing in the ruck, so he's the smallest ruckman in the AFL, but he's getting plenty of touches. And, well, there's Luke Darcy.
Yeah, you'd see the half-forward flanker now. Hargrave. Chip towards Eagleton. Awkward ball to trap there. Coughlan. Kellaway.
Pressure's down for the Bulldogs. They're not putting anywhere near the same pressure on Richmond as Richmond are applying to the Bulldogs.
Hardigan getting a wealth of the ball early, as is this man, Tuck. Just his 6th senior game, late developer at 23. Richardson doubling back with Harris, who's done well there. Giansiracusa goes to West. He'll just drop it down the line. Well, he dropped it literally. Murphy provided the support. Rowan Smith can run. Kick long. Johnson and getting back Patrick Bowden for what will be the Bulldogs' opening goal.
Well, I think Bowden's big enough to play in the goal square. He's 6'3" in the old, and I think that size enables him to be a full forward. But he's got to stay there. He's got to be able to be there when the ball gets there, not be running up the ground at the 40 and the 50-metre mark.
I agree, Gerard. And the key thing about that movement was it was in there quickly, long direct kick straight to the goal square, and a fine mark.
And brother of Joel, son of Michael, Patrick, with the goal. His 3rd of the season, has kicked 1 in each match now. Booted 27 last season, so as you say, can take down the key forward post and look to develop, still only 23.
Oh, he's still underdeveloped by miles. I think that he'd be better off staying in that goal square, leading out. That way he's running with the flight of the ball, and that's a good trick to your boat. Hagan's paddock scenario, which you would know a little bit about, Wayne.
Young Chris Hyde just got lost in that movement.
Yep.
Got lost under the ball and lost the feel of his player.
This time they've put Daniel Bandy down into the goal square, so they've got some options. They've got the height down there as well.
Terrific crowd in this afternoon, just on 30,000 now. As Darcy crosses the line early, no surprise there. Stafford alongside. Jackson tumbles it forward. That's downfield. Richo, you should take this. You're going to have a shot at goal.
He's just pressing at Luke Darcy there. He didn't. The key there is if he runs under the ball and takes the opposition ruckman's run away.
That's it. Richo's run away from that, and Krakouer's going to take the kick.
I think it was downfield.
Yeah, but Richo was the man where the ball was landing, and Krakouer was in the vicinity as well. And Richo deciding Andrew can have the shot. If I'm a forward, I'm taking the footy. Here's Andrew Krakouer then. He has already kicked a goal in this opening term. 49 metres out. That's why Matthew left it for him. Krakouer's got his 2nd. Tigers have their 3rd.
Like his father and also his uncle, he's a beautiful kick of the football for goal.
Here's the decision. It was sloppy in the middle of the ground. Ineffective. If you're going to give 50 away, you might as well get a result for it. And that one cost them a relatively simple goal. Good work from Richo. He knows better than most that he's not the best. And we have a leak. Last week it was a flood in the box.
Yeah.
This week it's a leak. We've got water problems, gentlemen.
Gee, I wasn't going to say anything.
It'll happen to you too, Wayne.
The Fox Footy Sunday curse. Tigers by 14 points. Darcy winning it down for Giansiracusa.
Better.
Long and direct gives Cooney a chance with a diving Coughlan. Now, Bandy closing in. Delidio, quick hand, stolen by Burse, caught high.
Yeah, and I reckon Terry Wallace wouldn't be overly concerned. He knows the technique can be dealt with, but it's the attitude that he'd be thrilled with. Just getting in, getting the pressure on.
For our digital subscribers, no umpires' microphones today. It was too hot for the umps. They didn't want to wear them.
What a kick.
Rawlings. 70 metres out. McMahon running hard, getting into space, having a shot at goal and making it all worthwhile. Well done, Jordan McMahon, seizing the initiative there. Back in the Bulldogs side this week and a good goal.
Well, Jade Rawlings is up to 9 possessions, and it's going to create a question mark in the Tiger box whether or not they've got to man him up, because he's just getting away. He's creating opportunities. That time it was just by way of handball, but he's had 5 kicks, 4 handballs, and he's playing himself back into some semblance of form. It'll only be a start. He's playing on no one, so clearly he's got to be able to run around and get kicks in this day and age. You'd want 8 or 9 a quarter, but he's doing it, and he'd be absolutely wrapped.
It was a nice goal by McMahon, but can you manufacture goals like that all day?
We'll wait and see.
Stafford and Darcy. Stafford got the hand to it that time. Tuck dragged out of it. Stafford quick hands, a bullet to Krakouer. Good reflexes, kicking long. Brown in front of Hargrave, who spoils. West running onto it. Tivendale. Cross. West. Hargrave. Good vision. And a nice finish. Giansiracusa's got Rowan Smith, and he's got space. Could go all the way. Get out of his way, Burst. Burst peels off. Smith will eventually give it to him. Burst can run in, have a shot at goal. No, decides to centre it. Darcy trying to soccer it through like Stafford last week. The rush behind the end result. Wayne Schwass.
Ben Harrison took a knock to the lateral side of his right knee. He's come off. Gary Zimmerman, the club doctors assessed that, and unfortunately they've strapped him up. They're icing the knee and won't see any further part in the game.
Andrew Cracker's getting plenty of it early in the match, Wayne.
He's a quality player, and there's been talk that he has to come into the midfield, get more of the ball, and he's doing that early today.
Little fumble here, just lost his concentration, but he's had a good start.
Spent it before he had it.
Tigers lead 7 points as we tick into time on at the opening term. Still 6.5 minutes of playing time. That outside temperature has dropped 11 degrees in the last half an hour.
Nathan Brown's pushed himself up onto the ball. He's just lurking around the contest there at the back.
Someone's been pinged Tiger free.
He hasn't got a man. His man Ryan Hargrave is in the middle of the ground.
Cross the man last up. Cracker's kick smothered. Second mental lapse in just a moment for Andrew, who started the match well. Ducks the head, slips out of the tackle. About to be mown down though. Got it to Kellaway, and he gets it to Hardigan. Centering ball, okay, Brown. Bulldog fans with long memories. Good mark, doubling back by Noble. Even better hands to Hardigan. 45 out on the run, drifting across the face. Oh, Richo, has he marked it inside the line? He has. Now anything could happen here.
Well, they worked hard to get it forward. The Tiger defenders, Krakouer and Tuck, kept going wide. They had all the players up the middle of the ground. Eventually they brought it back into the centre and got it long.
What are you tipping, Wayne?
Well, we've seen a few check side goals being kicked this weekend, but I think he should run around on his right. Exactly
sort of like that?
That's exactly
sort of like that. Just missing, drifting across the face for behind.
Yeah, we saw a couple of goals in the Carlton game yesterday, check side goals.
Yeah, Chris Tarrant kicked an absolute ripper. And there wasn't much to be critical of Chris Tarrant in the second half. He was on fire.
All right, let's see the Bulldogs set piece from the kick in. They got it on quickly. Burst, saw Richo coming late, but does very, very well. And gets up quickly. Kicks to half forward. Cross. Collared by Noble. Good tackle. Burst for Eagleton. He's a good finisher. Oh, another terrific Tiger tackle. That's rewarded. They have been desperate here in this opening term. And Tuck lunges and gets to Eagleton before he can get boot to ball.
Great work by Tuck to sort that, to set them up.
It will come back. Winning the contested ball, the Tigers 24-14. Shane Tuck, between he and his dad now, 432 senior games. Noble on the outer wing. West. Good hands again from Scott West. Burst for Johnson. Now Bandy.
Rawlings is forward now.
Too far out to score is Bandy. Rawlings is one out in the square with Kellaway. Now he leads. Bandy goes to him. Jade's got to get over Tivendale as well. Got a little bit of a nudge. Hardigan under pressure. Back for Gasper. Goes short. And Pettifer, the hero last week, 2 time on goals against the Hawks to get Richmond their first victory since round 8 of last year. Jackson. Hardigan.
Oh.
Tivendale. Brown. Going nowhere in a hurry. That's better. Delidio with the mark.
It's a fair execution, that one. Good vision. And backed it up. This is a poor kick.
And it gave just a chance for Cooney. He couldn't get there. Now Kellaway can go wide. And Chaffee and Coughlan can work together.
Well, that kick was telegraphed. It was only a foot away from being intercepted, and they should have done better there, the Bulldogs.
Hyde. The Bulldogs have got numbers back, so this is why the Tigers are mucking around with it. Bowden having to go short. Turnover. Will it be costly? Smith to West. Again, West's hands brilliant. Burst getting it to midfield. This is Darcy. Now they're going. Cross. Chip kick. Brad Johnson plays on. Goal square unguarded. Goes short. And Patrick Bowden can line up his second.
Well, I guess that was the flood working at its absolute best. They got the ball, they pinched it off them across half-back, and they actually went wide and finished up with a shot, as we can see, 35 metres out. Rather than blazing back, Rodney Eater's maintained structure. A couple of people still in that forward line for them to give them a target.
The key point, you made the key point there, Gerard, when you said a couple of people remained in their forward line to keep the structure, and they moved the ball quickly. Once they won it off half-back, got it into the forward line, easy shot at goal.
This to make it a 2-point game. Patrick Bowden kicks his second.
Well, it's a good fight back from the Bulldogs. I still think that there's another gear for them to go up as far as work rate. Why not? I just reckon up in the forward line in particular, they're not working anywhere near as hard as we saw them against Melbourne this time last week. But pretty impressed with Bowden. He's had a good start. I think he's a bloke who's capable of kicking 60+ goals in the forward line if he really put his game together 22 weeks of the year.
It's been a funny start. Richmond dominating the first part of it, and now the Bulldogs getting numbers back, but keeping their structure, have really got back into this game.
Tigers by 2 points. Tick over 2¼ minutes remaining in the opening term. Jackson got the hit out. Darcy got it to West. Cross. Faulkner. This is impressive. Giansiracusa crashes through. Hardigan slipping. Got it to Brown. Still hearing it. Now Coughlan, a defensive role early today. Going wide. Cross and Hargrave affect the spoil. Bowden, good pickup. Hyde can run. Clear half forward zone for the forwards to lead. Richardson. Good spoil. Harris. Play on the call. Hyde running onto it. Needs support. Richardson did well. Harris has got him. Richo stands up in the tackle. Got it to Hyde. Now Campbell, the former skipper, towards the goal square. Simmons spoiled by his teammate Chaffee. No talk there in the end. And Rowan Smith wants to switch because they've got men leading to this broadcast side. Burst initially. He'll give it on to Cross. And he had it spent as well, thinking about Bandy alone on the wing. Under pressure, gets it to Grant. He fumbles it. Caught. Will it stay in?
Oh, no, that's no good.
And that's high.
Well, I reckon that's a poor decision. He just ducked his head, and he was the one who made the impact with the Richmond player's leg.
Now, Bandy's been alone on the wing for a while. He had it spent as well. A couple of careless mistakes. Minute to go on a hot afternoon at the Dome. Brad Johnson with the mark. Can the Bulldogs take the lead? Faulkner at centre half forward. Well done. Joel Bowden wins a free.
Great effort, Bowden.
Advantage play on. Campbell for Hardigan. He's up to 12 possessions now. Drives to Richardson. Fraction too far out. Loads it up. One out, Simmons and Grant. Grant could spoil. Simmons wanted the free, it wasn't there.
It was a great spoil by Chris Grant. He really was under some pressure. Did he give a free kick away? Well, according to the Richmond cheer squad, absolutely. And our camera, I think, backed them up.
And Reece Shaw's saying that happened to me twice yesterday in the third quarter.
You won't take too many marks on Chris Grant body on body. He's very strong in the upper body, and that was a beautiful spoil.
You heard the Tiger fan reaction as Smith flirts with danger. Eventually Hargrave keeps it inside the white line. Now Giansiracusa. You see the time remaining. There is time. Rowan Smith goes short. Won't reach Rawlings. Puts a big tackle on. Play on the call. Waning seconds. Tiger free kick. And if it's not reversed, that'll be the scoring done for the opening term. Entertaining first quarter in front of 30,000 at the Telstra Dome on rivalry round. It's the Tigers 3-4 leading the Bulldogs 3-1.
Interesting finish. Nathan Brown just picked up the ball from a handball around the back and got bowled over by Brad Johnson, and there's a little bit of a stink on in the middle with Pettifer and Scott West, but a tight finish after a tight scoreline after the Western Bulldogs fought back well. Love the start of Richo. He looks so balanced when he's running for the footy at the moment.
He does, and although he didn't take that first mark, you could just tell that he was working hard. He got to that ball, and yeah, it looks like Richo will have a big day, but the Bulldogs got back into it.
A little bit of feeling, a little bit of niggle out there. We'll keep an eye on it. Don't go anywhere. Second quarter coming up next. Tigers by 3 points. Weeknights on The Fever, Footy's only talkback TV show. We debate all the day's hot topics, talk to the game's biggest names.
And that's why he is one of the greats.
And of course, you can have your say.
White Line Fever, weeknights 7:30 Eastern on Fox Footy Channel.
There are some moments in football that stay with you forever. Every Sunday, 3 new memorable moments will be presented on afl.com.au and participating News Limited newspapers. Register and vote for your favourite each week, and you could win the ultimate grand final package, plus other weekly prizes. And while you're online, check out all the other great offers from Big Pond Broadband. The Toyota AFL Memorable Moments competition. Be a part of footy history.
He's coming back. Not too many men will go 57 rounds with the catalogue man. He's immense. He sure tests a man's ability to stay true. Dougie McKenna could end this right now. All he has to do is take a sip of that average bourbon. That ain't champagne. You've ever seen anything quite like this?
Clean up at Bunnings Warehouse with the lowest prices every day. Catalogue out now. Pack of 4 energy-saving globes, only $9.98. GMC electric line trimmer, just $19.93. Heavy-duty chrome shelving unit, alone $99. Massport Stinger mower, just $329. Bostik 1 litre sugar soap concentrate, only $2.24. If you happen to find a cheaper price on a stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%.
Bunnings Warehouse.
Lowest prices are just the beginning.
Before the commencement of play, could I ask all competitors to please rise for the national anthem?
We're a happy team at Hawthorn. We're the mighty fighting horse. We love our club and we play to win. Riding the bumps with a grin.
Last week on The Gospel.
Who would be the most likely bloke you'd punch on with at your club?
I would have to say Nick Holland.
I had a fight at training with the great Dermot Barrett. Dropped it.
Probably until Heath Black left.
Oh, that's right, he dropped you.
Did you say he was an oxygen thief?
You can't afford to miss The Gospel, Friday on Fox Footy Channel.
Matthew Richardson, like a box of chocolates, you never know just what you'll get. He kicked 1 goal in the opening term as the Tigers enjoy a slender 3-point lead at quarter time. Did get the margin out to as many as 14, 3-4 to 3-1 the scoreline. Cracker and Bowden each with 2 goals, and big numbers there for a lot of players, including Hartigan 12 and Cracker 10. And Jade Rawlings 9 possessions and 6 marks across the opening term. Let's head down to Wayne Schwass, a great student of tactical stuff. Wayne, and what have you got for the Bulldogs?
Well, the Bulldogs, and I look, I've got a bit of an advantage here. Rodney Eade, when he was at Sydney, always used to like getting numbers back. We've seen plenty of that this afternoon early, but importantly, what they always have on the outside is a release player. They tend not to go straight up the corridor because that's where the opposition will sit. And in the vision there, you'll see Rowan Smith, and on the other side of the ground, there's also a Bulldogs player. When they win possession deep in defence, they'll release it out wide, they'll move it up towards the wings. Once they get towards half forward, they'll then bring the ball back into the danger zone, creating opportunities for their forward line players.
Thanks to Wayne Schwass. We'll keep in touch with Wayne, boundary side. 2 other matches being played today to conclude round 3, rivalry round. We've got the showdown in Adelaide and Essendon and Hawthorn at the MCG. Replays coming up a little later on Fox Footy, so if you don't want to know the scores just yet, best to look away now. How's your tipping been this weekend, Wayne?
Yeah, not too bad. I actually thought that Adelaide may win.
Don't give away the look-away score.
I'm not allowed to give away. It's very close there. I'm not giving away the look-away score, but the tipping's not too bad. I tipped the Kangaroos yesterday, but the Blues let me down.
Well, Gerard was the only man in Australia to pick the Swans.
I like the Swans. They had a bit of a rugged week, and they responded.
Tell me, though, you were nervous when they were 32 points behind with a quarter to go.
No, I wasn't nervous. I was angry. Good start here by the Bulldogs.
Second term underway, and that was a pretty impressive tackle, wasn't it, as Bowden just upended cross. Tivendale now. There's a free kick, and it's going to go Richmond's way. Quickly into it, Coughlan towards half forward. Here's Pettifer. Pops it up.
Oh.
Brown or Noble. Brown over the top. Play on the call. Hargrave going wide. Faulkner. Bulldogs with space on the outer side. Going short over the head of Eagleton, though. Easy for Hartigan to belt away. Faulkner for Cross, for Smith, for Eagleton now. Has support from Darcy. Eagleton might go himself. Does very well. Steadies. Goes for goal. Great running goal, Eagleton.
Well, it's a top rebound by the Western Bulldogs. I thought the Tigers were robbed. I thought Nathan Brown's mark should have been paid. The umpire was some 45 metres away. Let's have a look at it. He's got first hands on it, and that's controlled. That's a mark. And it's a big 2-goal turnaround.
He's had 2 marks like that today.
Yep, he's been robbed, and it just always baffles me why an umpire, when the ball, he can be in the centre corridor, will choose one side of the ground to umpire from, because if they elect to go the other side, you are the best part of 50, 60 metres away, and therefore he missed a critical mark.
Bulldogs with the last 3 goals of the match. They have the lead for the first time. Noble just smashed that forward. Gilby there to soccer it for another boundary throw in on the outer side.
Sometimes you get the feeling an umpire is having a bad day, Wayne. Now, we're not going to go fingering the umpire just at the moment, but I tell you what, there's one of them out there, he'd be benched if he was a player.
Noble and Bandy. Noble winning it down. Cross is tackled. Ball held in. A bounce, Wayne Schwass.
Rick Stafford came off in that late stage of the first quarter. He's got his right shoulder strapped, and according to the medicos, he's had some modern medicine injected into that shoulder to numb some pain, so we would think he'll make a return soon.
You're not naming names, Gerard, but you said the umpire looks like Bandy.
Yes.
Cooney emerging. Keeps it low to half forward. Darcy. Bulldogs building here. Eagleton running back to the square. Faulkner on, Cross on, goes to Cross. Is he off? He is. You're off, Daniel. You don't know it yet. You do now. Lines it up from 49. Might kick a goal anyway. No. Touched on the line.
It's good play by the Bulldogs to bring it back into the centre corridor. There were a number of players leading to the goal square, but they chose to centre it up.
Risky kick in for Delidio, who was waiting back. Eagleton knocked it away. No danger. Campbell to Hartigan. Possession number 13. Handball to midfield. Gee, sold his teammate into some trouble there, but Hyde equal to it.
In trouble.
But Noble, Chappie's gone.
Hartigan's done his hamstring, left hamstring.
Well,
so
that's a real blow.
And with Harrison off for the Bulldogs. And now Hartigan for the Tigers after seeing plenty of the ball. Bounce important. Eagleton just tapping it for Bowden. Lining up for his third. He misses.
He had plenty of time too. Good stuff there by Nathan Eagleton. Major blow here to the Tigers because Hartigan was getting a stack of the football, and you see him there on the arc. He knows he's popped something.
And this 21st game of his senior career for the 20-year-old. Certainly one of his best.
With every misfortune, there comes an opportunity, and young Rains comes on for a run.
Yep, just his second game. Played the final game last year, and he's got his dad, Jeff's number 4.
Wayne Campbell's on the ground as well.
Ball to midfield. Now the Tigers can go. This is the aforementioned Rains. Got some running support from Hahn. Below us, Kellaway. Good running, the Tigers. Hyde again. Campbell now. Goes to Krakouer in the pocket. Just pushed out of it by McMahon. Brown's always dangerous. Goal umpire needed some support to indicate a rush behind.
It just seems to be... It just seems to be a little bit unusual, Wayne, that you can tap a bloke's hands in a marking duel and get a free kick against you, but you can push a bloke out of the contest and no problem.
Yeah, I don't think there was too much in that, Gerard. I honestly thought that it was just Cracker's light frame.
Okay. Here go the Bulldogs down with the long kick down the middle of the ground, and as always, West going by virtue of the hands.
And Gilby's a good architect, sending it wide. This is cross. Oh, and that's awful.
And Rawlings was all on his own in the goal square, having worked hard from half back to full forward. He only had to hit the top of the square then.
Game in a holding pattern now in the early stages of the second term with the Bulldogs. 4 points to the good. Rains. Tivendale. Kept his feet well. Short. High. In a purple patch. Campbell. Long and direct. His forwards like that, and that's why.
Oh. It's a powerful unit coming charging out. Looks so comfortable at the moment. He's in good form. All they've got to do, Tigers, is get the ball in the vicinity of Richo, and he's going to mark it. He is just looking like a man mountain at the moment. Just so strong. Those hands, they're one grabbers. They're tough marks, and he's one grabbing them.
This to put Richmond back in front. Lining up for his second. 2-2 to Richo. Tigers lead is 2 points.
It's never been his marking that's a problem, Gerard. It's always been his goal kicking, but he's started well today.
He has, and look, he's in that good a form. You just get everybody else out of there maybe and just allow him to charge. I think the fact that he's got a bigger bloke behind him, it's Noble at the moment, but also Stafford at times or Simmons, just helps him out a little bit. It means that the other forwards can't drop back on him as often as they did there. Grant did at that time, but he only had one to beat in front of him.
The disconsolate look on the face of Brett Hartigan. Going to be missing a couple of weeks, you would fancy, with a torn left hamstring. Richmond with the lead by a couple of points. Simmons going with Darcy. Brown quick out of the pack. Murphy needed to be precise. She's nimble. Great poise and balance, and here's Boyd. Taking some time, but while that was going on, Darcy freed up. Unsure of himself, goes for Giansiracusa.
It's a high-risk kick, but it was absolutely perfect.
Gilby going wide to half forward. Well-weighted ball for Rawlings, mark number 7.
Well, to complete the comeback, he's got a double goal.
He won't have a shot from here. Cooney under some pressure from Coughlan. Get your thoughts on that matchup in a moment, Gerard, as Coughlan keeps it in. Gets buffeted, heavy bump there by Bowden. Coughlan playing the defensive role on Cooney, who started the season very well. Cooney with just 3 possessions so far, 19 and 4 goals last week.
Well, I think it's working pretty well because Cooney's in red-hot form. Coughlan is not at his very best. He's struggling a little bit physically, and I think it's a good way for him to work his way back in.
Bulldogs in attack with the Tigers with the clearance. Newman, this is good. They got some run. Hyde for Bowden. Good vision. And how about that placement to Pettifer? He could just about kick at 55. Either way, he's got Richo in the square against Harris. Tucked there as well. You see Richo lead out. He's saying, bring it on. Get it in there, but Pettifer might back himself.
Well, he didn't back himself to run on and kick the goal. He was clear. He could have kept going, ran to 45 and dobbed it. Let's see how he goes.
No,
from here.
he's going to pass it off. Tuck the target in front. Richardson caught. Cracker. And now a free kick to the Bulldogs. Advantage play on. Giansiracusa. Flirtatious for Boyd. Here's Jade Rawlings again. Pettifer's option, Wayne?
Yeah, he just didn't get the ball in there quick enough. He ended up going long anyway. He should have used Richo when Richo first led.
Rawlings to a contest at half forward, and the Tiger tall man Simmons doing just that. Crowd 150 and they get it.
Yeah, it's just sloppy. The 50 is such a great penalty that you can't give them away, particularly when you're across half back and you take a man to within a 15th of a scoring shot.
The first 3 rounds this year, there must have been more 50s than just about in any other year.
I think there were more 50s in the Brisbane-Sydney third quarter last night than in about a round's worth of football. We'll be talking about that on White Line Fever and on the couch this week for sure. The margin is 2 points. Simmons, though, can drive the Tigers deep into attack, although as he looks up, he's got 34 players in his sights. The flood is on in earnest. Look at that.
Now, Gerard, this is what I disagree with. Chipping the ball around like this, eventually you're going to make a mistake. There'll be a turnover and it'll flow straight down to the other end.
You've just got to go long, don't you? Make an error to the hot spot, give some big, tall targets a go.
Get to the fall of the ball.
Richo's a guy who's playing with confidence now. Give him a chance. They go to him. Nearly not quite, but Brown is crumbing. Danger for the Bulldogs because Brown is so creative. Play on will be the call here. Johnson for Murphy. And now watch them sprint to the other end as the Bulldogs go in fast break fashion. Chris Grant.
They're going to have the same problem. They're going to have to play keepings off for some time until they get their men into the forward line.
No one past the centre.
And now the first 6 back are Tigers. Faulkner to Grant.
Rawlings now gets to centre half forward.
Over the head of Cross. Paul kick Grant. You go short, could be costly.
Well done, Stafford.
Stafford the charging ball off of half back, holding the ball.
Good tackle. Stafford was on the burst. Just had to raise his hands to get the ball clear, so he could have handballed under pressure, but good turnover. The Bulldogs get away with it.
Bowden, 2 first quarter goals. Whoops, McMahon. Whoops, Giansiracusa. Got boot to ball. Faulkner, look out, you're in some trouble. And now it'll open up for the Tigers. This could end in a goal. Nathan Brown driving it long, gives Richo a chance.
The big man.
Oh, you've got to love that. That's what it's all about. And now it's a question of accuracy for Matthew Richardson.
It really is an example of why pressure is so important. If you go into a match lacking that physical intensity, you don't end up with the turnovers. And when clubs muck around with the ball, they give you an opportunity to put the pressure on, and that's what's happened. Quick turnover, long kick to Richo, 1 out, and point.
Well, let's be honest, the flood has actually got the Bulldogs back into this game, but by the time they rush forward, they're too tired to lead.
Richardson, 9 possessions, 7 marks, 2 goals, 3. Wayne Schwass.
Brent Hardigan just confirming the earlier suggestion that he's done a hamstring. He's got his left leg heavily iced, unfortunately won't take any part in the game. And actually, when he came off, he had some skin-coloured bike pants. Generally why players wear that are to keep the hamstrings and the backs warm. So maybe he came in with some doubt before the match.
Thanks, Wayne. Cooney's got Faulkner on, and the Bulldogs can go here. Faulkner with a perfect pass for Brad Johnson.
Tell you what, Swatter, at 34 degrees, it must have been a pretty ordinary hamstring if he needed it to be warmed up.
Far be it for me to say, Gerard. It's easier for us to sit in the box and watch, but that's generally my interpretation. When players wear those, there's an issue there already.
The pat on the back for Coughlan as Cooney's rested from the Bulldogs. Brad Johnson kicking at goal and putting the Bulldogs back in front. So a 2-goal swing essentially off the Richardson miss at one end, and at the other, Brad Johnson is an accurate one. 293 goals in his career now.
And that was just a normal setup from a kick out. You had your forwards in place, the other players coming through the midfield. Good use of the footy, direct to Brad Johnson, and as we know, Brad Johnson is a beautiful finisher.
Good goal, and it just emphasises the miss at the other end of the ground.
Western Bulldog life member is Brad Johnson. 235 games now and still only 28.
He has been pushing it a bit. Oh, that is a shocking bench.
Not for the first time.
No, he's having a bad day, that umpire.
We'll name him Darren Morris. Left. Pettiford at Tivendale. Wide to half forward. McMahon, the boundary line is his friend. He elects to keep it in, though. And after a moment of anxiety, we'll have a boundary throw-in.
I think you're entitled to call the ball back, Wayne. Everybody's under pressure in this business. If the umpires can't deal with it, it's the old get smart, get out of the shoe business.
I am a traditionalist, although I think the only time they should bounce it these days is the first bounce to start a game, then throw it up. It's
even after a goal, then throw it up in the middle?
Yes.
Okay. Cracker dump, got his kick away. Richardson charging out. Nathan Brown to put the Tigers in front. Well, what's he doing? He didn't kick through that at all. And the Bulldog fans giving it to him.
Well, that was an unusual kick. I think that's about as best as we could describe it.
Yeah, I think he tricked himself there, Brownie.
Long ball from the kick in. Hahn now, get it on, cross. Eagleton in support. He could go all the way. 75 out, closing, 60, goes short, Rowan Smith. Gee, from the kick-ins today, they've been terrific.
Just going back to the Nathan Brown one, it was such an unusual kick. The only thing that you could excuse it for, I think he must have thought that he was under more pressure than he was. He actually kicked it as if he was about to be tackled, and he just belted it on the boot.
Because they seem to have a better structure, the Bulldogs, from a kick out, because the forward line is open. They get it in there quickly, and they've had 2 shots at goal, Brad Johnson and now Smith.
And Rowan Smith, uncharacteristic blemish to the right-hand side, so they don't make the Tigers pay for that Brown miss.
To finish what we were talking about before, Clinton, bounce it at the start of the game. You can't ever get rid of that, but throw it up so it's even for the rest of the day.
Rowan Smith's an interesting one. Look, maybe you could do it on White Line Fever. Look at his stats from set shots to goals on the run.
Consider it done.
So I reckon his set shots are well under his goals on the run.
Yep. Margin is 3 points. Tigers now taking it to the wing in Kellaway via the kick-in. Glad we're at the Dome today. It's a struggle at the G for the Hawks and Bombers in wet conditions. Boundary throw-in on the wing.
Yes, we have had an amazing run of weather. But I think winter officially started today, about an hour ago. Summer finished, winter started. No autumn.
Darcy got it down. Jackson sharked it. Campbell's kick smothered. Jackson going again with Boyd. Now Mitch Hahn emerging. Near the boundary line. Tigers happy for it to head in that direction. Gasper the shepherd for Bowden. Kellaway. Now Chaffee's worked hard going to that outer side. Rowan Smith pursuing him. Smith winning out. Rawlings about to be mown down. That was the wrong option. Boyd should have been the man to get it. And the Tigers on the counter-attack. Gasper's kick.
There's some blokes going to ground.
Grant for West. Scotty West. First kick today. He's had 10 handballs. Bowden charging through. Wanted the footy there. Rains comes a cropper. In the back, Bowden wins the through.
Daniel Bandy's an interesting one. He's been on the ground for a fair time now and hasn't got near the ball. He's running under it. He's running past it.
Cracker under some pressure. The flood causing that with Bulldog jumpers back. Murphy the mark in midfield.
I think Jack Dyer used to say he's where the ball ain't.
Murphy to McMahon.
He's all on his own now at centre-half forward.
He's going to get it here. There you go. 50 out. Keeps it low. Might bounce it home. Oh, Wayne, you've lifted him. Daniel Bandy kicks his first goal of the season, and the Bulldogs are out by 9 points.
And down on the boundary line, Wayne Schwass.
Well, mentioned it in that first quarter, but we didn't see the ball getting kicked to Jordan McMahon there. But immediately when a player wins possession in the defence or across half-back, they'll look lateral, release that player, move it forward. It's Rodney Eade all over it. Well worked. Good finish by Daniel Bandy.
It was a nice goal by Bandy, but as I was saying, he looks a little proppy to me. We know that he's got a great endurance. He found himself very lucky to be on his own at centre-half forward on that occasion.
Good finish, though, wasn't it? It wasn't an easy shot at goal, and he just he completed the task. It
was a nice finish.
Warning bells for the Tigers now. The Bulldogs with 5 of the last 6 goals of the game, although the Tigers will get the free here.
Yeah, Luke Darcy just let the left arm get across Stafford's shoulder.
Stafford, good kick. Campbell.
Brown.
Clinical. And he will go back and have a shot.
Always dangerous at full forward, Nathan Brown. He knows when to lead. He really has got that capacity, that innate sense
now,
of
he wants to try the football, and umpire Darren Morris is running and saying you can't do that.
It's a funny rule that you're not allowed to do it, yet players, you don't get the ball taken off you. You basically drive the ball trail back to the chain.
Right. Yeah, Brown has achieved what he wanted to there.
Exactly right.
Even though he got told off.
I don't think he'd be too worried about that.
He played 137 games for the boys from the Whitten Oval. Now he's a Tiger, and he'd love to kick his first goal here on this afternoon. And he's got it. Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Oh, boy. Nathan Brown. He's the captain today for the Tigers.
Yeah,
we'll see who laughs last.
Well, he's just put a little bit of feeling into it, hasn't he?
Yep.
An audacious display here.
Do you like that?
Well, look, I don't mind that. And if that's what gets him up, why not?
He's got a couple of nice scratches under his arm there, so he's been involved in some physicals.
We don't want robots out there all day long, do we, Clinton?
We don't, Wayne. We don't. Yeah. The margin is 3 points. Some characters, some flair. Becoming a lost art. Noble for Hahn. Well, occasionally it can have the opposite effect as Smith goes to Daniel Bandy. Chip short, Eagleton. Richmond the last 7 clearances in the match. 17-5 overall, as you see Darcy and Jackson. Darcy, oh, hello! There's a free kick. Hang on. What's happening, boys? It's going to be a Tiger free kick, so they don't pay the retaliation. The first one was going Richmond's way. It will go back to where the footy was and be a Tiger ball up the ground. Chaos reigns.
I'm glad our umpiring friend wasn't involved in that quick.
So Jackson, the man drawing it out of Darcy, before Noble came in and crashed into Luke. There is some feeling. Will we get 2001 all over again? Hahn over the top. Good mark. Shane Tuck disagreed. Brad Johnson. Eagleton. Sending it long. Here's Darcy.
Just lost his footing there.
Waiting down Newman. Short. Jackson got to get up and recover because Bowden could make you pay. Misses badly though with the kick at goal and just bounces through for a behind.
Well, there's Joel Bowden. He's had a number of opportunities to add to his tally of 2 goals. The other end of the ground, I still think it looks pretty dangerous. Nathan Brown one out in the goal square. Ryan Hargraves has got a big job there. He's got the pace and the height, but Brown has got the brain power to really make it difficult for him.
And the other target, Richo's taken 7 marks. So you'd say, if you can, Tigers, get it down quickly to those 2 players. Noble did well to knock it out. Gaspar got it back from Newman towards the wing. Won't reach Simmons. Grant, good spoil. Boundary throw in.
He's been good today, Gaspar.
Excellent. Yeah, he's had a really good game, and he's a player I think who will by mid-season be back to his very best. Reconstruction last year, I think the expectation was out of kilter with what that injury actually is, and he's just really working his way back in. He'll re-establish himself, and he's done so far today.
Became the first #1 draft pick since the draft began to make All-Australian status. Rains with a risky centering ball. Boyd put his body on the line, didn't mark it, but did enough. Smith for McMahon. They flood the outer side. He goes to Eagleton, who's having a good second quarter.
Well, that's the value of having Jordan McMahon in defence. He's got that pinpoint accuracy, and if he can unload it, you get something happening up forward like this.
Oh, perfect ball. Eagleton to Brad Johnson.
It's that ability to find the target through the centre of the ground that really does hurt the defence. If you go wide, the defence gets time to get people back. If you can come up the middle like that one, well, then all of a sudden Brad Johnson can lead one and he gets a free shot.
Year after year after year, Brad Johnson goes forward and kicks goals for the Bulldogs. He's an amazing player and I think highly underrated.
Hits the post as he winds up his second today. Two-time best and fairest winner, three-time All-Australian, and led the Bulldogs goal kicking once as well back in 2001 with 48. Less than 4 minutes remaining from half-time. It is still an arm wrestle. And the Bulldog fans have been revved up by Nathan Brown.
Scott Chaffee up the middle.
He's off now, took his full measurement of time. Newman out wide, Callaway. A patient old affair, Tivendale. The goal a game average for Terry Wallace and the Tigers this year, 16. Richardson. Love the way he's going about the footy today, and he kicked straight. He could have had 5. He's got 2-3.
They've got Trent Noble forward.
And 34 others.
Well, Richo knows how forwards like it. Get it in. Get it to the big bloke.
There it is. Now, Bulldogs waiting down, but they've had to retreat right to the defensive goal square, but now they can go. Gilby for Boyd. There's Darcy. Then there'll be Faulkner. And he can go over the top to Burrs. He's about to be caught off. Faulkner, great pace. Should kick a goal on the run. Misses.
We just go back to that kick into Noble. The reason why it was ineffective and rebounded so quickly was because there were no Richmond players at the fall. I mean, they weren't expecting the long kick. They were expecting maintenance of possession and just slow. And when they did go long, they didn't have blokes running, just charging onto the football. There was just too many Western Bulldogs players there.
That's right. Half the battle is being predictable to one another, and if you know you're going in long, the players know to get there at your feet, whereas if at times you chip it short and then at other times you go long, how does anyone else know what's going on?
As it stands now, the Bulldogs with 37 goals, 44 for the season. Wasting some chances as Gasper affects the switch to the outer side.
This is a good move.
Simmons has the proverbial paddock. Newman one-on-one with Hahn.
It's a pretty average decision from Simmons. He had to be a better kick than that.
Boyd for Cooney. His 6th possession today, well held early, goes for Murphy. A little bit of a slip there, and it's over for a boundary throw-in.
Do you think, Gerard, players still today try to kick to the player, not to the space, so the player can run onto it? I think it happens far too often.
Well, you've been only 6 months out of the game. When you led, did you expect players to kick it to you or to the space in front of you?
Well, it's one of the traps that players fall for. You have to kick it to the space so the player can run onto it. You don't kick it to the player.
Tigers trying to break it open late in the half, and they might just do it. Callaway to run onto this ball.
Classic example there, out in front of Callaway.
Get it going. Brown's got Richo screaming for it. Kicks over his head, but a good option, not quite. Hanging onto it, Pettifer. Play on the call. Richo dives. Callaway, Tigers still a chance. Minute to go before half-time. Joel Bowden, good user of the footy. 55 out, going long. Is it straight?
Oh.
No.
And Richo all on his own for a little bit on the 50-metre line. Wasn't too happy that he was not used there.
I think Terry Wallace will be demanding a bit more out of Pettifer. You go on a charge for a lead like that. That was a mark that just had to be taken. You've got to be stronger in your body to be able to withstand a little bit of pressure from the opposition player.
Because you can brace yourself for it. You know you're going to be getting it. Eagleton to Cooney. Caught behind there. Campbell for Gasper. seeing a bit of the footy in this second term, and that's a good kick for Chaffee. Bulldogs by 5 points as we approach half-time. The waning seconds now. Simmons can set the Tigers up. Still time. Tivendale, short, down to 12 seconds. Rains in his second game. Chip kick for Bowden, and he can have a kick after the siren if he so chooses.
He's one of the few players on the ground that will comfortably make the distance. Whether or not he can make the accuracy is all we have to wait on.
Is this a bit of a mental kick? If he kicks it, the Tigers are in front. A little bit of energy going to the change room at half-time.
Well, whatever it is, there's one thing for certain. You're always getting a benefit if it goes through.
A tough kick from here. You'd have to aim it at the left-hand post. He'll have a natural swing from left to right, being a left footer.
Reigning best and fairest winner at Punt Road. Big kick after the siren of half-time. Joel Bowden to put Richmond in front. Missing to the near side. It was close. Some Tiger fans went up. The end result is 1 behind. And at half-time, we have got an arm wrestle. The Bulldogs by 4 points.
Well, it's as the scoreboard suggests. It's a very close game. Both sides don't look as if they've got the players that are going to be able to burst it open. You said coming into the match, though, Richmond with Richardson and Brown have got 2 players capable of kicking a bag. If they can get on top, well, then the Tigers could burst away, but the Bulldogs will be playing well as a team.
Plenty to talk about at half-time here on Fox Footy Sunday. Bulldogs in front.
Wednesday on AFL Love Match, how is host Rebecca Wilson going to control these AFL greats as Doug Hawkins and Robert Dipier-Domenico go head-to-head?
Who won the 2004 AFL Grand Final? The Dippers.
The Lions. AFL Love Match, a real test of teamwork. Wednesday on Fox Footy Channel.
Turn to the MCG Friday as the Kangaroos clash with a fired-up Collingwood. Don't miss a moment of it. Uninterrupted, siren to siren. The Kangaroos beat Collingwood 11:30 Friday on Fox Footy Channel.
Second half not too far away. You see the Bulldog back 6 at the top of the screen. Heading back, Harrison, Hargrave, Murphy, McMahon, Gilby and Chris Grant. Taking on the likes of Richardson and Simmons down there, Campbell. Mark Graham coming on for the Tigers. We didn't see any of him in the first half. He's going to start up forward.
Well, one of the problems that Rodney Eater's got is Joel Bowden. He is absolutely slaughtering them across the half-back line, and they need to find an opponent for him to lock down on.
Wayne Schwass, before we start the third term.
Yes, the Bulldogs, as a mark of respect, are wearing armbands in respect of Alan Richardson's father, Stuart, who passed away on Friday.
Tigers to the right of screen. This rivalry is a hot one, and this match is there to be won. The winner, 2 wins and 1 loss at the end of round 3, and safely in the top 8 as Darcy hacks the Bulldogs forward. Cooney goes wide. Brad Johnson against Newman. Johnson slips the tackle, and from the tightest of angles hits the post.
It's a great player, is Brad Johnson. Cooney got off to a good start there as well. And he's so electrifying, Brad Johnson. He was away. He's got one of the best turning circles in the game, and given that he's near on 30, it's a pretty good effort.
And with a sore ankle as well.
Noble having to go the spoil over Boyd. Good recovery. Little paddle to Graham. Quick hands for Chaffee. On the lead, Simmons. Good pressure, Grant. Hargrave gets it to Harris. Now the Bulldogs rebound. Giansiracusa out wide. Has burst down the line. Takes the mark, no. He'll be disappointed.
Well, it's a breakdown, but a really good piece of play by Brian Harris, who left his man, left Richo to come and support. His timing was excellent. And Greg Stafford starts on the bench, and Simmons is at full forward, which gives him an opportunity to play to his strength.
Sometimes that's the best way to put pressure on your opponent. Run off him, get possessions. All of a sudden, the message comes out from Wallace. Man up on Harris, Richo.
Short boundary throw in, favours Darcy for burst. Kicks quickly. Gives the forwards a chance. Gasper and Rowan Smith. Smith did well, and it's through for a behind. Bulldog lead, now one straight kick.
Just having a look at Trent Noble, he looks a little bit stiff at the moment, and in the centre bounce, I'm not sure this centre circle has helped him. He's going to have to work really hard, like all the players, to get his timing right. There's a number of times today he's jumped without getting anywhere near the footy.
On the hit-outs, he's had 3 for the Tigers, which is their best today. Darcy's had 10. Overall, it's 14-10 the Bulldog way.
Which, once again, sometimes emphasises the lack of relationship between ruck and clearances.
Because the Tigers are winning that category comfortably. Campbell, an awkward ball for him to try and trap. Did well to get it to tuck. Long inside the 50. Richardson crashing into Hargrave. Grant's gone. Did well. Got the handball away fairly to Giansiracusa. Now here's Eagleton. Quiet first term, more prominent in the second. Goes to Burse. Got it this time.
He's an impressive player, Burse. He's got something.
22 years of age. Squares it up for Darcy. He'll go to the centre corridor. Murphy. Close to being off, not quite.
We've got Bowden wide. This is the release play that Wayne Schwass has told us about.
And he goes to Gilby. And he goes to Brad Johnson. Good build-up. And Brad Johnson, conscious of looking at football and making sure that sock was right up. Now, tight angle. Has kicked 1 goal 2 today.
As we know, Brad Johnson is a beautiful kick of the football, and what he'll attempt to do here is kick at the right-hand post. Natural right footer, right to left.
He's very keen to get that sock up, Clinton, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He's, well, as host of Oz Kicking Around, he's trying to teach youngsters the right thing. I think it's fair. There he goes. He starts it to the left. It came back a little, but not enough. Rodney Eade, 2 wins, 7 losses head-to-head against Terry Wallace.
And so far a disappointing return. The Bulldogs have dominated the first 5 minutes, and yet they haven't been able to get a goal. And you only get momentum for so long. It's how you use the momentum determines the result. Richmond will get momentum back. Then I think you'll see flood to try and resist it, and that's coaching. That's modern-day coaching, and that's what you'd expect.
Jackson retreating. And putting Joel Bowden under a wealth of pressure, will have a throw in. Nowhere to go.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that, but it may be that Boyd has gone on to Joel Bowden.
Joel Bowden with 16 possessions, a game high. Noble just fumbling it down for Hyde. Caught. Hahn bullocking. Boyd. Eagleton. Did well. Gives Johnson a chance, 1 out. Newman with the spoil. Play on the call. Dogs still a chance. Giansiracusa gives it for Faulkner. Finds an opening. Goes for goal. Close. Got it. No. Hit the post. Their 3rd poster today. And then now 6 goals, 11.
That's a great kick from Bowden.
Rowan Smith, good chase to deflect it away from Coughlan.
Not good
Got
enough.
support from West. Tigers have got numbers if the ball comes out. It ends up with Cooney, though. Good vision and a wonderful kick. Giansiracusa, he goes wide, and Patrick Bowden now. A question of accuracy for him. He kicked 2 goals in the first term, 2 behinds in the second.
Lovely play from Cooney. That separates your really good players against your also-rans. Great vision, knew exactly where to go. Didn't go down the line where it was crowded in the forward line, come back into the corridor, and beautiful play.
They get an opportunity, though, because, and I'm not sure which Richmond player was the target of that kicking, but that kicking was good enough for that player to mark the ball.
It was Coughlan.
He waited for it. He didn't go and attack it, and therefore he allows the intercept.
Important kick. Patrick Bowden, they've been missing a few. And they've missed another one. And we won't harp on it, but that was their Achilles heel often last year. Winning positions in games, kicked themselves out of it. They're now 6 goals, 12.
Well, Patrick Bowden has got to give himself a chance at those goals. If he has a look at the tape, you'll see that his weight's all going back. He's got no form through the kick, and you're just going to spray them more times than not.
He, Faulkner and Johnson, 3 goals, 8 between them. Bowden to Richardson. There's mark number 9, but it's a long way from home.
Like his brother, Joel, Patrick is an outstanding kick when he gets his body momentum through the ball, but he just isn't disciplined enough to do it often enough.
Noble, the target, had to go one-handed. Faulkner. Bowden, now Boyd. For Hahn in the middle, intercepted by Callaway. Joel Bowden for Graham, for Chaffee. Get it long quickly, give them a chance down there. The 2 Tiger tools, Simmons and Richardson. Boundary throw in.
Well, Matty doesn't like when the ball comes in slowly, and he did exactly that. Simmons had space behind him. He held the ball far too long.
And a couple of special comments, people in the crowd there telling the umpire that it was holding the man.
Was that high? Yes. Will be a Bulldog free. Tiger fans up for the goal, but it's coming back.
Looks like Terry Wallace is almost applying a midfield press. He's getting a hell of a lot of crowded, a hell of a lot of players through the middle of the ground, which is when they have the ball coming at the Bulldogs, it's hard for them to get it through. Just here. And that's what happens. Players under pressure make mistakes.
Now Krakouer elects to go short. Callaway too far out to score.
You're shaking your head, Wayne.
Richardson 1 out. Now there's 3 opponents on him.
Krakouer again. Oh, elects to play on with a handball to Coughlan. Hyde still going. Tuck. Bounce important, and it's through for a behind. Play on the call. Tiger fans wanted a free.
It's exactly what happens when you overuse the ball. Eventually you're going to make a mistake. Richardson was 1 out in the goal square. They had to get it in there as quick as they can, and that's where the Tigers are falling down.
Yeah, once they elect to take that first short kick, it's almost an exercise in mad ball to get it forward.
Eagleton has West. They sprint to the outer side. West goes short. Boyd elects to play on. Wide to Burse, who's made that territory his own this quarter. Here's Boyd with a good pickup. Can he add some class to this Bulldog finishing? You bet! Terrific running goal by Matthew Boyd. Just the 5th of his career, but it opens up the Bulldog biggest lead of the afternoon, 14 points.
Well, at one end you've got indecisive play, and at the other end, from a kick out from one end of the ground to the other. They move the ball nicely. The Bulldogs, they run from behind, and a beautiful finish.
Yeah, and a couple of players, Richmond players, getting themselves tangled up, which gave Boyd his opportunity. And he did it well. He's not a noted goal kicker, obviously, with only 5 for his career, but he wasn't too concerned about how to go about it. Got his opportunity and went straight through.
Concerns now for Terry Wallace. He's watched a 14-point lead in the first quarter become a 14-point deficit. Darcy bashing into Noble. Smith belting it forward for the Dogs. 3 Tigers say yours. Brown besieged. Rowan Smith the footy. Bulldogs with some confidence. Rawlings flying. Johnson waiting down. Rawlings. Boundary throwing.
You get the feeling, Wayne, that the next 5 minutes is really important, that the game is building to a bit of a crescendo, and maybe we're going to see a breakout here in the next few minutes.
Tigers definitely need the next goal.
If you weren't with us earlier, Kane Johnson, Richmond captain, late withdrawal. Andrew Rains, his replacement. Nathan Brown made the skipper. Someone has to lift the Tigers. 14 points adrift. Boundary throw-in. Bulldogs in attack. Pettifer for Joel Bowden.
Got one up the middle and a poor kick.
Opens the door for Rowan Smith, who did very well just to knock at the Grant. Hyde didn't give up on the contest.
Had a good day today, Hyde.
Finds Coughlan. Charging through the midfield. Kicking long. That's better. This man will mark it. Oh, that's so easy.
It was the perfect kick coming into the forward line. Had to be into space. Richo running back towards the goal square. as it's better known these days, is Pagan's paddock. But it was a simple kick, long and direct to Richo. One out. He's going to do that every time.
Good release out of the back line to get it through. Here's Richo, has to top it off. You said someone has to kick a goal for Richmond. He's got a chance.
Touched by the man on the mark. Good heavens.
The cardinal sin for any footballer to kick into the man on the mark.
Down on confidence inside 50 when kicking for goal, Wayne? Is he? Down on confidence kicking for goal or not?
I think earlier in the game he kicked a couple of nice goals, and usually when his confidence is up he kicks very well, but on that occasion just didn't get far enough back from the mark.
And so the Tigers, well, they've squandered their fair share today as well. 5-11, a number of those gettable. Murphy on half-back, hangs onto the footy, allows McMahon to free up. Harris waiting with Murphy. 13-point, the Bulldog lead. Murphy running. Good carry there. Penetrating kick, although the Tigers reading it well. Joel Bowden. He'll go wide to the outer side. Callaway. Coughlan. Makes Dowidio wait. Third gamer, equal to the task. Campbell. Simmons. He'll be too quick for Darcy there. Noble, play on, not 15. Now Tivendale. He's got some carry on the kick. 50 metres out to the goal square. Harrison Richo, great duel this. Play on the call. Tiger fans fume. They wanted a free, it's not there. And they'll give it to the umpires now.
It's a great battle, though. It's good to see a contest. Let's have a look at this. Two blokes grabbing. Umpire's right. Maybe a free kick there. Maybe another one there. Richo overacting. But there was certainly a little jumper grab or a body grab.
Coughlan, Tigers still in attack. Need the next goal. Campbell used his body well. Pettifer takes them on. Brought down. Still hard at it, Campbell. Chappie now. Oh, missed the ball with his boot. The end result will be a bounce.
Tigers just need one player to stand up to put just a modicum of polish on the finish here, Wayne. They're working not as hard as the first half, but they're working. They're creating opportunities, but they are dead set lacking a little bit of polish.
Coughlan on Cooney is an interesting matchup. We've said that Coughlan's coming back from an injury. Cooney in great form. It might be Coughlan.
Well, Coughlan's had 13 touches to 9 now in that head-to-head duel. Gilby. Oh, what a wonderful handball to West for Bandy. And suddenly they're streaking forward. Murphy for Eagleton. Callaway closing. Eagleton gets it on. Rawlings runs underneath him and Casper takes a mark.
Yeah, good effort. Wasn't a great kick, but Casper did it well. I reckon Chris Hyde was stat chasing back there. They had Andrew Krakouer with the ball in his hand and he got knocked out by his own man.
Straight through the arms of Mark Graham, boundary throwing.
He is back to his absolute best today, Casper, and using the ball terrifically well.
15 possessions and 6 marks.
Although Graham couldn't finish off his good work.
True centre wing position.
Tell you what, Clinton, officially that is called a square up.
It was an almighty pasting last week. Rarely has a footballer been buffeted verbally, quite like the way Wayne Carey unloaded on Gaspar. Here's the Bulldogs again. Giansiracusa for Burst, finds an opening, 45 out, lays it off. Giansiracusa, unguarded, goal square, he puts it through! Terrific finish! And it will be hard for the Tigers now because the margin is out to 19 points.
I said at the start of the day that it might be hard for the Bulldogs to win if they have to manufacture goals like that. But you know what? They keep manufacturing goals.
Yeah, they do, and they're able to do it because they've got so many talented small players. Their great weakness is that they haven't got great body strength, but you see Burrs and Giansiracusa, both exquisitely talented ball machines, combining well. You put Johnson into that breach as well, or to that group as well. Kearney's another one. They're all just players that can create a goal. It's hard to rely upon them, but to kick the total score, but the Dogs have been doing it well.
Bandy favoured by the bounce. Boyd back to Bandy. Get it on quickly. Tivendale reading this one well. Down the line he goes. Graham eager to atone. And gives Richardson a chance. Harris, good spoil. Richo kept his feet, still does.
He's on the charge.
He takes them with him. Coughlan, Campbell, Brown.
Kick.
Centering ball for Delidio. Now, the 17-year-old without a goal in AFL footy, just his third game. Can have a look.
Well, Richo's handball was a bit dubious, but the umpire was blindsided, I think.
I'd like to see him in the running of the Bulls at Pamplona. He'd be the only man that make the Bulls do a U-turn. Delidio missing to the right-hand side.
It was a good second. It was a good second effort by Richo, following the ball up. He had 3 or 4 hanging off him, and I think you'd nearly pay that, Gerard.
Free kick.
Wayne's getting soft in retirement, Gerard. Delidio.
He's a power forward. He's looking after the union.
Now Hyde gives Simmons a chance. Grant the spoil. No holding on, says the umpire. And McMahon emerges. Just 3 goals the difference.
They're just not getting enough out of the tall forwards, Richmond. They've got Simmons, who's a gun up forward. Richo's a gun. And Stafford has his moments where he is just as talented as the rest.
Here's the man running hot.
They've got to take opportunities like this.
At the back, oh, Simmons might have hurt himself. Tivendale, lefty, tight angle, centering ball, Pettifer with 3 to beat. Near the boundary line, cross, slipped. West, happy for it to go over for a boundary throw-in. Now a bunch of bodies scattered everywhere. Head, body clashes. Harris, let's have a look.
Questions the knee. I think he's done his knee.
Oh, that would be grim, grim news. Well, they're a man down for the time being. They haven't called for the stretcher. Tigers pressing here, trying to get some momentum back. And they might have it. Tuck. Oh, sold Chaff into trouble. Brown. A touch of class to emerge up forward. Nathan Brown, take a bow. He's got his second. It's 2 goals the difference. And Harris will be coming off on a stretcher.
Well, it was Nathan Brown to provide the class and the polish. He's got the most of it of any player on the ground, but this is the bigger news story. I think we're seeing a real blow to the Western Bulldogs' short-term future. There's a big crush of players. And as another man goes down, that time it was Chaffee.
And here's how Brown emerged. Look at this, good balance. And on the right with the finish.
Yes, I think you had 3 or 4 100-kilo-plus players going for the one ball, and unfortunately for Harris, he come out at the wrong end of it.
Bulldogs by a couple of goals. So there'll be a pause here for teams to gather and collect their thoughts as we watch Brian Harris, just 23 years of age, disrupted season last year, was suspended on 3 separate occasions for a total of 5 weeks. But has been an imposing presence for the Bulldogs at the start of this season down back. And we just wish him all the best. Innocuous looking incident, really, wasn't it? And hard to tell there, jarring that left knee on the way down.
Yeah, it was his own body weight. He got the leg stuck, and his own body weight brought it down in an unfortunate angle. And looking at that, then you start hoping for just a medial injury.
So their bench is down to 2, with Harrison, the other man, to play no further part. Wayne, at this time, what are you thinking if you're the respective coaches? The game well and truly alive, 2 goals to difference.
Look, if I was a Richmond coach, I'd be saying get it into Matthew Richardson as quick as I can. The Bulldogs, on the other hand, I think the Bulldogs are manufacturing goals through their smaller forwards. But at this stage, it's really the Bulldogs playing better football. A touch of class, Brown kicking a goal unexpectedly.
So Rodney Eade to be working the board. They've got a structural problem now as well. We just saw the slow-mo there, Wayne. That looks pretty gruesome for Brian, and that's a real blow because there was a kid who is really building a reputation for himself. And to add salt into the wound for the Bulldogs faithful, it was Nathan Brown who kicked the goal. Have another look at this.
Oh, the left, yeah. That's...
Well, it doesn't matter who you barrack for. You just hate to see any player go down with an injury like that.
So it does not appear good. We'll try and get some news as this match unfolds. And the game is well and truly alive. And handball too slick for Boyd. Free kick going the Tigers' way. Haven't been a lot of them today, just 17 in total, make it 18 now.
And now they've got Chris Grant on Richo. Now, Grant's clearly going to have a pace problem on Richo.
Yep. Oh. Murphy emerges. And they've got loose Ben Cooney.
Goal square is open.
Burst. Chip kick for Johnson. Newman plays well. A pat on the back for Brad with 6 minutes remaining in the third.
And the Bulldogs now playing with an extra man just parked in defence. It's Mitch Hahn, bigger body, to try and help out Richo. They've pushed Richo out to centre-half forward to try and expose Chris Grant even further. He's now got the whole wings to work up. You'll see him do 100-metre sprints, and that'll be why Hahn is in front of him.
Noble and Bandy. Gee, this is a one-on-one foot race. Murphy caught behind Campbell. Does Murphy keep it in? Not quite. Boundary throw in. Wayne Schwass, what are you sensing boundary side now?
A little bit of carnage, Clinton. Darcy came off, as did Brian Harris. Troy Simmons took a knock to the head. They patched that up out the ground. I actually think that he was allowed to stay on the ground given the fact that Brian Harris was getting put on a stretcher. But unfortunately for the Bulldogs, Brian Harris looks as though he's definitely out. Luke Darcy's having a spell on the bench at the moment.
Giansiracusa slips the tackle. Delivers wide for Johnson on the bounce. Wonderful hands. Wanted the right foot. What a game of cat and mouse there. Loads up the top. Touched off the boot, that ball, so Gasper couldn't mark it even if he wanted to. It's through for a behind.
Brad Johnson becoming their main focal point up forward.
Have a look at the way that he tried to smother that. That is just... Well, Robert Rassie would throw the book at you for that one. You have to have your palms open at the ball, not try and smother it down. That could have bounced anywhere, particularly to his man.
And it did.
Coughlan through the middle. Now, you almost prefer Richo from here than 20 metres out. 55 metres. Big kick to the goal square. Off hands, hits the post.
Well, it's a significant blow to the Bulldogs. You can't think of a worse player from a structure point of view. Chris Grant is just not going to be able to go with Richo athletically. I guess the only value or the only bonus for the Bulldogs is you would imagine the way that they've got it set up, Richo's going to get most of his kicks a long way from goal.
It looks as if Wallace has made a move already and sent Richo to centre-half forward rather than full forward.
Here's Mitch Hahn peeling away from Richo. Thumping kick for a behind. Tigers go wide for Kellaway. 8:14 plays 6:13. Who will hold their nerve in front of goal to win this match? The winner, 2 wins and 1 loss after 3 rounds, safely ensconced in the top 8. And a lot of positive vibes about the club. For the loser, well, they'll be very disappointed because this is winnable. Murphy, some class. Goal square's unguarded. Robert Murphy, oh, what a wonderful chase to put the pressure on there. It was the first-year player, Delidio, that provided it. And it frees up high. Rebounding. Kick not good for Tivendale, and Eagleton takes the mark.
And lucky not to get a 50, but got away with it. The way Wayne Campbell is at the moment on Robert Murphy, you would just use Wayne Campbell as a decoy to get Murphy away. Don't kick it to Campbell, because if the turnover, it goes to Bulldogs' best kick.
West about to be collared by Chaffee. Tigers not giving up in their chases. And it's seeing a couple of turnovers go their way.
Has to mark this.
Oh, that's a free.
Really didn't have to do that against the smaller opponent. Just had to stand there, cop the body of Eagleton, but silly free kick at an important stage.
Giansiracusa is off. Mitch Hahn will be as well. He could kick this. Then again, maybe not.
I think the only issue with what Stafford did there wasn't what he did, it was when he did it. He just had to wait until the ball was a bit closer because it was about 20 metres away.
Pettifer, next goal, so important. Tuck back to Pettifer. Is this the chance? Richardson waiting down. Grant flew early. Richo's working with Krakouer. Richo goes himself. Very high one to the goal square. Tivendale. Oh, he's got it after Eagleton slipped.
Great pass, Richo. He pinpointed that onto his chest. Everybody didn't want to go near it. And it just set up a goal.
He's been known to give the odd spray to one of his teammates, Richo, and Andrew Krakouer would have been well within his rights to give him a spray if this didn't come off.
Burnt the handball.
I would have thought the handball over the top was the best option for Richo, but he obviously thought he could snap the goal.
The end result for Tiger fans might not matter. Richo pondering, Greg Tivendale kicking a goal. 7 points the difference now.
And Gerard, you summed it up before. Delidio's chase a couple of minutes ago, running the Bulldog player down,
Westy
has caused this goal.
Yeah, Scott West couldn't get the right disposal. He was run down. It was excellent work. And if there's that Krakouer handball that you see, maybe it was Chris Grant running behind that made him kick. But I think historically, handball for Richo has always been a last resort method of getting rid of the ball.
And the Eagleton slip, costly.
Pretty hard to handball a goal.
Hasn't happened yet officially. 2 minutes remaining, third quarter on Fox Footy Sunday. Another thriller unfolding. Been a few of those this weekend. Here's Campbell. Swings into open space. Kicks to space. Bulldogs got the lucky bounce. Rawlings though. Risky handball. Got it back. Grant on the left. Precise for Eagleton.
Oh.
Cross about to run into trouble.
Yeah, he should have taken him down. It was
Eagleton high kick. Faulkner with some pressure. Kill away the spoil. Tuck charging through.
Nice side
Jackson. Yeah, good balance from the 18-year-old. And, well, Noble slipping as well. Rufus closed. Krakouer, clever. Campbell's too far out. Tivendale's not. 2 in a minute? Not quite.
Well, once again, the pressure that counts. That time it was Luke Darcy. He didn't even lay a glove on him. But it was just that implied pressure that made Tivendale arch the back a little bit, get off balance, and that's probably that effort from the captain has saved his team a goal.
Lindsay Gilby to bring it into play.
And Wayne Campbell, who doesn't look quite right to me, has had a couple of important touches in the last minute or so.
From the huddle, Bowden breaks free. Minute remaining in the third, a minute, and it's a goal the difference.
It's a classic Patrick Bowden game. Wayne, I reckon he's just so hot and cold through matches. If he can just stay more involved, he can become a top quality player. But he started the game with 2 great goals and about half a dozen possessions in the first quarter, and that was just his 11th touch. So he's gone missing for too much of the match.
Tigers getting back to try and hold off this final Bulldog thrust. Rawlings, who started in blistering fashion today, goes for Burrs.
Just hasn't found his spot, I don't think, Gerard. They throw him forward, throw him back. Probably hasn't cemented a particular position.
Giansiracusa appealing, turned down for the 50. Down to 20 seconds. This next kick, if it goes forward, vital. Can they mark it? No mark, no free kick. Boundary throw in with 7 seconds remaining.
So when you're going through a game, Wayne, and you hadn't been near the footy for 5 minutes, what did you say to yourself? What approach did you take to get yourself back involved?
I think you've got to get to as many contests as you can and put yourself in that position. Work rate.
Tigers win the free kick. Brad Johnson can't believe it. Gives a mouthful to Stuart Wynn. Nathan Brown takes the mark, and he goes short for Chappie, and that should do us in the third quarter. Rivalry round set to conclude with a classic final quarter struggle. The Bulldogs will enter it with a 1-goal lead.
Well, it's pretty tough to pick a winner at the moment, and that's why it's been a good game of footy. Nathan Brown, as captain, can have a chat to the umpire, and Brad Johnson, by virtue of just loving a chat, he can talk to the umpire. But here's Terry Wallace. He knows there's plenty at stake here, coaching against his old club, and he's pretty demonstrative at the moment. There's plenty on the line here, Wayne.
Even contest, Gerard, and I think, like you said at half-time, it's going to come down to a couple of individuals. For Richmond, Brown and Richardson. For the Bulldogs, I think Johnson and also Smith can win it for them.
Tivendale looked dangerous late in that quarter.
Best you don't go anywhere. Bulldogs lead by a goal. Final term next.
Last week on The Gospel,
Who would be the most likely bloke you'd punch on with at your club?
I would have to say Nick Holland.
I had a fight at training with the great Dermot Barrett. Dropped it.
Probably until Heath Black left.
Oh, that's right, he dropped you.
Did you say he was an oxygen thief?
you can't afford to miss The Gospel, Friday on Fox Footy Channel.
Your AFL action comes alive with Fox Footy's Saturday Central. Join Jason Dunstall and Wayne Carey from midday for the entire afternoon and 2 huge games live. From 4, Subiaco Oval is your first stop as the Eagles host the Bulldogs. Then from 7:30, Premiers Port Adelaide hosts pre-season champs Carlton at Amy Stadium. Saturday Central from midday. Eagles and Bulldogs live at 4. At 7:30, the Power and Blues live. Then Cats and Bombers, Hawks and Lions.
Downstairs, here's Wayne Schwass.
Unfortunately, the news isn't good, Clinton, for the Western Bulldogs, and specifically Brian Harris. Spoke to the doctor, the club doctor, Gary Zimmerman. He's confirmed that, unfortunately, it's an ACL joint. He currently has his partner in there at the moment. Looked an innocuous passage of play, but as you can see there, his body weight was heading forward, but the way his knee landed, his foot got stuck, as Gerard said, pushed his weight back. He'll head off to hospital. Unfortunately, it's not looking too good for Brian Harris.
Thanks, Wayne.
The cruciate ligament, if that has snapped, it would be the end of his season. And what a blow, Wayne, given that Rodney Eade comes to the club with one of the most promising fullbacks in the league. But speaking of promise, that move looked promising, not to be.
Bulldogs in front of goal in the third quarter. Had plenty of chances.
They did a couple of posters, but they were getting the chances.
They definitely did, and it's what we spoke about earlier. I honestly believe, unless they've got a Darcy or a Grant or a Rawlings up there, a key figure, they're going to struggle to kick goals, yet they manufacture them. They're a good running side.
Well, they're starting Bandy deep in the forward line, which is, I'm sure, going to please you. They've got Johnson down there, the Bulldogs, and Cooney. At the other end of the ground, I think Simmons is the man. They've got to get something out. Nathan Brown will give the polish and the finish. If they can get the ball in long to Richo or to Simmons, then I think they're going to be able to return a score.
Too early to say a defining game in the season for these two clubs, but nonetheless, the victor will take so much out of this. And for the loser, it really will be heartbreak and hard to come back. Tigers to the left, Bulldogs to the right. Tigers to get the centre clearance. Campbell popping it in front of Tivendale and Eagleton. Who will keep their feet? Both do. Jackson, good pickup. They showed some impressive things today. Wins a free against Burse.
Just going back to that centre bounce, I'm not sure Trent Noble has got anything else on his mind other than neutralising, because he has jumped early, he's jumped late, he just can't get his hand on the football.
Jackson on the wing, takes on Burse, drives it long, gives the forwards a chance. Brown flying over the top, and a high one paid the Bulldog way, Darcy. Just lays it off. Gilby as Bandy running to halfback. Now Boyd. Tigers have won the last 3 between these two clubs. Scott West, his numbers today, 18 possessions and 7 marks. Boyd, it's been a promising build-up. That's a lob wedge inside the 50. Easy one for Gasper to knock away. Brought down fairly by Cross. Good tackling by Hahn. Kellaway, poise, got it to Hyde. Tuck, Bowden, back to Hyde. Now Delidio wants it. Can he chip it over the top? Elects to carry it. The third gamer does well. Bad kick, though. Brown was shorter than that. Darcy the mark.
Well, once again, they're going to a player on the lead in Brown, and they've got two big talls up in the goal square.
Here's Hargrave. Going down the line. Good kick. Cross. Bulldogs keeping that full forward zone open for Brad Johnson. Giansiracusa 55 out. Elects to chip short. Now Mitch Hahn. Gee, that was loose checking from the Tigers. Hahn can kick this 51 metres.
A lot of Tigers standing around centre half forward and not getting deep enough into the back line. Even if Hahn wanted to pass it off to Johnson, he had basically all of inside 50 to lead into.
Hahn without a goal today. In the leadership group at Whitten Oval. That's why. No! They have been unlucky with the sticks today. That's the fourth poster.
Who'll win it, Wayne?
I'm sticking with the Tigers. I think the Tigers can win purely because the big forwards.
This goal kicking for the Bulldogs now 39-52 for the season. Just not good enough. They've got numbers here. Oh, Bowden just drifting in and out of the game. Giansiracusa hammers it in front of Burrs. Will it stay in for him? Just. Gets it on. Giansiracusa kicking it wide and too wide.
That has got to say.
Jono thought if he was inside the field of play, the ball was still in.
That's right. Giansiracusa, I think Rodney Eade will want to know why he wasn't going at 100 miles an hour then.
How will this one break? Oh, hard-in-mouth stuff for the Tiger coaching army. Hyde backed himself, goes long and direct. Richo doubles back. Grant can't mark. Trapped it in, knocks it out. Rawlings does well. Hargrave clever. Giansiracusa. Oh, spills a mark he'd normally take. Got it onto Murphy. Kick to half forward. Johnson working with Cross. Oh, that's a good tackle. And a boundary throw-in will result. Well done, Newman.
You have to say one thing about Chris Grant is he's still a thinker about the game. He went down, fell on top of the ball, knew there were players free. Nice tap out.
Did a great job.
Johnson wore that heavily and is hurt. Now.
Oh, it's a horror run for the Bulldogs.
Yeah. Left leg perhaps. Bulldogs by 7 points. Hyde emerges.
Just having a look at Giansiracusa. He is allowing Bowden just to run off. He's knackered. He's run out of juice. And I think they need to change him because Bowden with the footy in his hand is so damaging.
Good tackle by Burrs. Going wide. Darcy. Chipping it wider still. Bowden with the mark. You'd think fractionally too far out to go. Seven points is their lead. And knowing they've got a date at Subi with the Eagles next week, this is a must-win game. 2 goals, 3 his return. Both goals came early. Won't carry. Where are the Crummers? Tuck charging through, kicks it back from whence it came. Murphy will take this one gleefully. Eagleton, tight angle, and he's missing narrowly for a behind.
It's an interesting matchup. Joel Bowden with 22 and Daniel Giansiracusa with 26, both having plenty of it. In effect, it's going to be who uses it best out of those two. And the next 15 minutes will probably decide the battle, Wayne.
Well, Joel Bowden becoming the best sweeper in the business, although, you know, the opposition player that he plays on often picks up a lot of the ball.
Good
Darcy too strong. And now they've got a chance. The kick, though, makes Scott West wait. Got it on quickly for Bandy. Handball stolen. Delidio, his handball wide of Noble. Darcy elects the bump. The ball spills clear. Was he pushed? No. Play on. McMahon leaves it for Cross. Got it for Burse. Krakouer could intercept this. Turnover City here. Jackson forcing it out. High tucks it under the arm. Delivers to Richardson. Can't take it. Chris Grant should try and keep it in. Oh, throw in.
He's working the edges beautifully there, Chris Grant. He wrapped Richo up. Did just enough not to give away a free kick.
Almost comical the way he deliberately slipped over there.
He went over.
This Telstra Dome turf just can't keep my footing up. West tracking an awkward bouncing ball. Off the ground, top of the goal square. Look out, Hargrave skiddled. Boyd, Gilby, they won't concede a behind. Yet. Brings it back to the broadcast side. Burse laconically leaving it go for a boundary throw-in. How is this going to end?
How about you look at some of the players? Chris Hyde there was just praying that ball would go out. He is absolutely out in his feet as well. He's had a good game. But it's the next 10 minutes. Who is prepared to work the hardest that will take home the bacon?
Bulldogs by 8 points. Tigers haven't scored this quarter. We'll have a bounce between wing and half forward for Richmond. The Tigers, if you joined us late, led by 14 points halfway through the opening term. The Bulldogs responded, enjoyed a narrow 4-point lead at halftime, pushed as many as 19 points clear in the third quarter before the Tigers responded with the last 2 goals, and we're yet to have a major kick here in the last. Until now, perhaps. Pettifer on the run from 50. He was the hero last week. This one coming back. And it's touched and it's over for a boundary throw-in.
Yeah, that is an effective ruck tap.
Yeah, you don't often see a player being allowed to stand off a ruck contest like that inside your forward area.
Now, Bulldogs with a man back in the goal square. Rawlings over the top. Simmons, Richardson first hand. Here's a go for Brown. Oh, I love this, wouldn't he? The Bulldogs say they touched it. The umpire says no. All clear. Brown has got his third. And we've got a 2-point game.
Well, it's the old issue about having blokes loose. You can have a bloke back, but you've got to have everyone else manned up, and that was just outstanding roving. If there's one bloke that you're going to be inside his jumper in that situation is Nathan Brown.
Well, the captain for the day kicked a beautiful goal in the third quarter and has now kicked that one to put Bulldogs up by 2 points.
8-16 to 8-14. Game alive. 30,000 plus at the Dome. Roaring themselves hoarse. Tuck gets the Tigers going forward. Riding this wave of momentum. Well, was that for the moment from Bowden? Perhaps not. Eagleton. Short. Oh, Bandy can't control it.
Throw.
Free kick Richmond. Could be advantage. No. Coming back.
Big turnover. They got the extra play here, the defence running well.
Gasper going wide. Great kick for Pettifer. Richo wants it. Pettifer pops it up. Richo's going to fly. Oh, he's got it. Anyway. He's got it. He crashed the pack. And now, hey, Tiger fans, don't get too excited. It's Richo and he's 15 out. It's not certain yet.
Certainly.
Oh, Gerard. Watch him belt into his brother-in-law. Oh. Was that a free kick or not?
There was 3 free kicks, but Richo's been owed this one.
Oh, he's kicked 2 goals for today. He couldn't miss this, could he? To put the Tigers in front. Have a listen to him.
There'll be a lot said about that mark, whether it was a free kick. I honestly thought if Matthew Richardson didn't mark that ball, it was a free kick to him. I thought Chris Grant was shepherding off the ball. Richo. We said it 3/4 time. 2 players had to stand up for the Tigers to win this game. Brown and Richardson. They've kicked the last 2 goals to put the Tigers in front.
That's a fair elbow to the head.
Yeah, but it was caused by Chris Grant, the shepherd.
Okay, well, why wasn't that paid? Because 2 wrongs don't make a right, does it?
He ended up marking it.
And that girl's very not overly
get excited.
Just been up watching the late night movie last night.
Or the wedding. Four unanswered Tiger goals now has turned a 19-point deficit into a 4-point lead. And the onus is back on the Bulldogs to respond, and here they come. Burst going long to Bandy. Hahn charging through to put the Bullies in front again. All aboard the roller coaster now.
Well, it's just going to be individual efforts, as you've said a number of times, Wayne. Mitch Hahn, brilliant piece of play. Other end of the ground, it was Richo. We have got about 10 minutes or so of footy to go, and it's going to be great to watch.
And you're watching it live and exclusive around Australia on Fox Footy.
Simmons into the ruck. Hasn't had too many minutes into the ruck. Let's see if he can put a hand on the ball and get it to a teammate.
Oh, boy. And as we have said and will reiterate, this match meaning so much for the winner. And in contrast, so much for the loser. That's why they're this fierce. Tuck's been good, got it to Simmons. Running hard, Gilby, good user of the footy usually. Now Murphy. Oh, good vision. Faulkner. Out wide, here they go. Giansiracusa. He could go all the way. Elects to chip. Option not there. Oh, the umpire shepherded out Simmons. Fortunately for the Tigers, Newman was there to save the day. That could have been catastrophic. Bowden down the line, the former skipper Campbell. Richo on the lead.
And this is where he's got the great athletic advantage.
That is mark number 13 for Matthew.
The Bulldogs have got numbers back. Darcy's in the goal square.
Richo has been terrific.
He's got the loose. He's got the loose.
He's going to chip it.
Horrible checking.
Now, Coughlan.
That was the only way to get through the flood, wasn't it? They just had to man up the Bulldogs from behind because they had so many people covering the long option. There were too many spaces. Simmons coming from the ground and Trent Noble back on.
There's that change. The new face of Richmond is this one. 22-year-old Mark Coughlan. This to put the Tigers back in front. Great kick. That's a super kick.
He's tough.
And he is cool in pressure situations.
Well, that's just mental strength, Wayne. You'd just love to see that.
He's coming back from an injury. He's had a okay day. That was his 17th possession, but to kick a goal under those circumstances tells you a lot about a player, and he is a special player.
It's so often the tagger that can sneak forward under the today's setup. They've had Coughlan on Cooney, and Cooney was probably thinking negatively, going back to block up a space, and just allowed his man to slip off.
Terry Wallace right into this game, as you would expect.
The way they're matching up now, maybe Faulkner, whose responsibility it was for Coughlan.
30,871 on the edge of their seats. Darcy to go with Noble. Noble got the run at it. Brown, good trap. Darcy for Cooney, for Faulkner gone. Play on the call. Hahn spinning out of trouble. In front of Boyd, Delidio chasing. Delidio had to do better. Boyd gathers, blazes away, and the margin is 3 points.
He'll learn from that, Delidio. He rushed at the player, tried to actually take the ball rather than the body, and really it was quite costly.
Now, loose man coming out, Gasper. His numbers today, 18 possessions and 7 marks. Going long to Tivendale on the wing. He's got the sit. He pushes out Bandy.
It's just too hard to win the football to give it away so easily as that. I'm not sure the kick was the right option to kick it to a contest where Bandy's clearly the tallest player.
Hasn't had the best of days, Bandy. It might be
Oh, turnover. Campbell can give this to Jackson if he sees him out of his left. He does now. Jackson can finish this one. Stops, steadies, misses.
Gee, and he had Andrew Krakouer in the middle. So like the Fremantle result last week where shorter options were in fact missed.
And if you turn it over going short in the chip game, as Bandy experienced, it can lead to some nervous moments. Rawlings, long, Darcy, good mark. Brad Johnson wants support. Waited on Will. Boyd, back to Jono.
Johnson's crook. He's gone, Johnson.
Burst in front. Hahn waiting down. Hurries a left foot kick and goal, and somehow splits the middle. Bulldogs back in front. Mitch Hahn with his second of the final term as Brad Johnson limps off.
They proved one thing last week, the Bulldogs. They keep on coming, and they kept coming at Melbourne. They got to within 19 points after being 54 points down. And both times Richmond have hit the front in this quarter, the Bulldogs have been able to answer through Mitch Hahn.
Yeah, they'll look back on that last foray forward, the Tigers potentially, and say, well, that one was pretty costly. They had 2 or 3 players that they could have sorted that one out. They need someone to respond quickly as well.
Wayne Schwass, what are you thinking?
Momentum, Clinton, at the moment. You'd think that the Bulldogs have just got their noses in front.
2 points. The players look up and see that we've gone 18 minutes in the final term. Johnson to stick it out. Rivalry round reaching an exciting conclusion. Jackson long to the forward pocket. Richardson. Boundary throwing.
It's funny, Gerard, when you look up at the scoreboard and notice there is only 5, 6, 7 minutes to go. There are players out there that want the ball to come to them. Yep. There are also players out there that don't want the ball to come to them.
That's a good point. 8 minutes to go. Short boundary throw-in. Hahn read it well. Takes them on. McMahon the fumble, opens the door. Campbell. Tuck. Impossible angle, just that. Behind there even could have been handy.
Well, Daniel Bandy's just been on the phone to Rodney Eden. I think there's a change just taking place. Got Burrs off and Bandy on.
Oh, Kilby goes to Murphy. That's not 15, fellas. Oh, Eagleton. Back for Gilby. Cracker left. Couldn't touch it. It reached McMahon.
Oh.
Giansiracusa couldn't pick it up on the half volley. Has time to recover well. Delivers for Cross.
Loose man in the goal square.
Oh, in the goal square. Johnson, the proppy one, kicks a goal. Oh, did he bluff them? Did they think there's an injured old man that we won't worry about? And he just hung around down there, hit amongst the Tiger cheer squad, and on the stroke of time on in the last quarter has given his club an 8-point lead.
Well, I'm not sure Jono bluffed them, but whoever it was that let out of the goal square bluffed 2 Tiger defenders.
Yeah,
as you see there, it was Rowan Smith. Both defenders went with him and left Jono in the goal square.
Seen that smile before? It's been a regular feature for 10 years.
And his great mate, the first to congratulate him.
I don't think Rowan can believe that they both followed him.
Yeah.
Not over yet, but you'd rather be enjoying the 8-point lead with 7 minutes to go. Coughlan. Campbell got a favourable bounce. Pettifer. Coughlan again. Richardson the target. Mark number 14.
Been a big day for Richo. This would really just be one that is so desperately needed by the Tigers. You wouldn't back him in, but who knows with this man.
Good numbers. Throw in 3 goals, 4, and a couple of assists. Oh, don't tell me. It's 4 goals, 4. Richo's pumped. Look at him.
Good on him.
And why not?
Matthew Richardson is a player that you come to the football to watch. Doesn't matter what you get, he gives you excitement. He's not one of those robots that we like just standing out there doing the right thing all the time. He shows passion, he shows spirit, and he can do that. Fantastic goal.
For better or worse, and in Tiger terms, until death do us part. He'll be there forever. Look at him. He's saying, I want to get back on the couch with Gerard, Mark and Wolsey.
I think he'd be saying that.
2 points.
I'll tell you what he is, though. He's one of those players that Wayne just said. It's 5 minutes to go. He wants the footy. He wants to eat it. This has been the greatest negative ruck battle of all. Look at him. Jumping and not even touching the footy.
They'll get a run at it this time if they so choose. Oh, boy. Now, Darcy's calling Bandy forward. He wants to run back. 22 and a half gone, 6 remaining. Tuck climbing high. Krakouer knocking it forward. The bounce important for Bowden and Jackson. Jackson has done some good things. Krakouer caught. Good tackle, Hahn. Cooney got it on to Cross. Now Rawlings. Back for the running cross.
Didn't even look.
A high bomb. Murphy! Not paid, not paid. And I reckon a good call.
We'll have to have another look at that.
Bulldogs by 2 points. Murphy not paid the mark.
Good decision.
Darren Morris.
He's back.
Tivendale. Tuck. Chappie. Bowden. Get out of the way, Darren. Here's Hyde.
He's done well today, Hyde. Worked hard.
5 minutes to go. He's the Tiger leading ball winner with 27 touches. Pettifer.
Brown's the danger man. He's alone in the goal square. Can they get up down there long enough and quick enough?
Chip kick effective for Jackson.
Don't hold it up.
Get it on. Now Graham's just run on the ground. Richo on the lead. The kick smothered though. Graham. Campbell. Feeding the handball forward. Tivendale running out of room. Buffeted by Faulkner, boundary throw in.
Well, the kick just didn't quite have enough on it. Richo, Grant had slipped over. Richo had 4 or 5 metres and another kick into the man on the mark.
Skill errors have cost Richmond badly. Goal kicking has cost the Bulldogs badly.
11-17 to 11-15. Tigers in attack. Stafford tried to take it. No, let it go wisely at the end. Ball held in. Now Faulkner. Giansiracusa copped a bad bounce. Kellaway for Delidio. And is that a free? Yes. High tackle. Let's check in with Wayne Schwass.
Well, the Bulldogs getting plenty of numbers back. Importantly, when they win possession,
is that 50 metres?
It is! Oh, my goodness!
Jimmy Steins.
Faulkner walked between Campbell and Smith, the man on the mark. And it's a 50, and Campbell will give the Tigers the lead.
Clinton, I will say this. Faulkner was standing in a direct line, basically in the middle of where the kick was going to be taken and the man on the mark. All's what he did, it was probably half a metre where he walked across the man on the mark. The umpire thought about it for a good 5 seconds and then made his decision.
Is Faulkner young enough not to have ever heard of Jimmy Steins?
It would be debatable. He is 20 years of age.
Geez, a fair way out compared to where he had the mark. That mark was at 51 metres.
Well, it should be a goal regardless. The Tiger veteran to put Richmond in front.
Good fight back, Tigers.
Oh, what a stirring final quarter this has been. Richmond have kicked 5 goals to 3, and right now Cam Faulkner is looking for a hole to open up and swallow him.
Well, Gerard, I'm sure you'll have a talk about that on the couch on Monday night.
Here it is. Watch Faulkner just walking. And
yeah, you don't quite see it there, but the umpire, I was watching the umpire, you could see he looked at Faulkner. He thought about it for 3 or 4 seconds and then said, you know what, I'm going to pay that.
I reckon the Bulldogs trainer was in violation as well. Can Mitch Hahn kick another one? Good things come in threes. Can he get a third?
Tigers by 4 points. Still time. Here's Faulkner. Kick off the side of the boot. Rains, the second gamer.
Oh, he nearly had it, Faulkner. He was off.
He is intense as anyone out there, Cam Faulkner, right now. Delidio got it out. Here's Hahn. Caught.
High.
Play on. Cooney. Buffeted. High tackle.
They got Giansiracusa forward.
Cooney chipping it to him. Giansiracusa.
He just pushed forward. He rolled the dice. And this time he gets an opportunity to make it pay.
What do you think of the scrum situation that we had there? That's why people are saying our game's becoming like rugby union, where basically a scrum follows the ball, it spills out, another pack forms. It's not attractive.
And Adam Cooney has a very good football brain and awareness of where his teammates are. And now with 3 minutes to go on a roller coaster final term, Giansiracusa to put the Western Bulldogs back in front. No! Inaccuracy has haunted them for the last couple of years, really. And they're now 11-18 today.
A big kick, Gerard, and they're the kicks, like I was saying before. Did he really want the footy in that sort of situation?
Well, I reckon he'd like another crack. But there's no second serve in football. You only get one go at it.
Chaffee in the back pocket. The players will look up and see 28 minutes gone. It will be a long quarter, though. You see 2:45 remaining. I'm sure, though, the runners will be getting that message out. Too early to shut it down. Stafford!
Pretty quiet today, but that was a very important mark. Under some pressure, had a bloke coming back, and he's going to milk this clock.
The umpire will call play on.
It's taken 8 seconds so far.
He kicks long to the wing. Richardson leaps. Johnson collared. Cracker away. Good ball. And Hyde, too far out, has been excellent. Short, Delidio.
Oh, and Andrew Cracker is on his own.
Will he give it to him? He does eventually. Cooney, though, had time to close. Oh, you've got to be quicker than that, Delidio. Richo crouched. Paid the mark.
Brilliant effort by Richo. I'm not sure the mark was there, but the free kick certainly. But that was unbelievable courage.
Oh, how excited is Terry Wallace right now. There's no way that was a mark, but it was paid that.
Richmond winning the ball at half forward, trying to save the game. They had to get the ball in there as quick as possible. Delidio had Graham leading far to the far side of the 50. He had to use him.
It will not be a draw. 3 points the difference. 90 seconds to go.
I'll go back to Bowden.
Kellaway short, Delidio. And his knees will be trembling now. We've crossed 30 minutes in the last term. Very wide. Boundary throw-in. Clock is frozen at 1:14.
Delidio just sighed a major sigh of relief.
We get told to go down the boundary in these sort of situations, but not that close.
Got to watch the back of the pack here now. The Bulldogs, the easiest way to go is from behind. They need a Rowan Smith or a Nathan Eagleton to get hold of it.
Darcy, first touch. Here's Cracker. West, great chase. Hyde. Coughlan. Across the face. 4 points the difference. 57-56 to go. It stops now.
And this is where the Bulldogs have been dangerous all day from their kick-outs. They've kicked a couple of goals and gone the length of the ground.
Well, he can play on here because there's no one there. He's got to play on and keep running.
Clock running now. We're into the final minute. Tigers by 4 points. Lindsay Gilbey going. Cooney the mark. Defensive side of the middle. Tigers have got to get back. Cooney's got a loose man on the wing. Kicks it beautifully. Cross the mark. The leads are on. Charging out Murphy. One. Not the second grab. Near the boundary line. Delidio's tackled. Boundary throw in with 34 seconds to go.
Well, you pick Richmond, King. I reckon you're going to be right. The Bulldogs, what have they got? 34 seconds. What a fantastic match.
How will it unfold here? The match comes down to this. Jackson caught. A bounce will be good for Richmond because the clock will keep running. No, umpire Morris calls time off.
He's been good all day. Yep, excellent.
24 seconds.
Good second half.
He restarts it now. The Bulldogs will have one final chance to pull off the victory. The Tigers won't let it out of that pack. Will there be a brave free kick called? I don't think so. Will he stop the clock? He does. 11 seconds. There will still be time for one more. Johnson tells them to clear out.
Richo's in the goal square at the other end.
For the time. The time is running. 10, 9. They've got to knock it clear and kick it quickly. Stafford gets it down. Eagleton, 3 seconds. Oh, West dropped the ball. Goes after it again. Siren, Tigers. The Tigers have won 2 in a row. And it's like they've won the flag.
A fighting fury with Tigerland. In any weather you will see us with the grin, risking head and skin. We're behind it, never mind, we'll fight and win. We're from Tigerland. We never weak until the final siren's gone. Like the tiger of old, we're strong and we're bold, for we're from Tigerland. Yeah, we're from Tigerland.
Did that happen? 19 points behind in the third. They'll be praising this man. Love him or hate him. Right now they're loving him. Richo with Wayne Schwass.
Oh, are they loving him? And as we said in the introduction to today's game, so much the barometer. Mate, you got off to a terrific start. Bulldogs came back. They looked as though they were going away with it. But I know this is cliche. When the side needed you, you stood up this afternoon.
Yeah, well, I guess as a leader of the team, we all had to stand up. Brownie, he played well. Joel played well back. So when your leaders have got to play well for the team to win.
Confidence is an amazing thing. You had a shot at goal there deep in the pocket to get the side going again. Straight through the middle. Never looked like missing. When you're up and going, it seems to all come a lot more naturally for you.
I'd rather have one of those than run 10 metres out, so I feel all right on them ones.
Now last week, 363 days to win your first game. A long time. Really looked as though it's breaking the shackles a bit and instilled a lot of confidence in the playing group.
The only way to build confidence is by winning, and we haven't done that much, but we've got a couple in a row now. We've got a long way to go, don't get me wrong. It's good to get a few wins in a row.
You deserve to celebrate. Go and enjoy it. Well done.
Thursday.
Join me, your host Jason Dunstall, live and exclusive every Thursday night for all the latest team lineups and informed football opinion.
I reckon if they win this game, they make the 8.
Yeah, whatever you said, I wasn't listening.
If you've got nothing positive to say, don't say it.
Shake your head and go, yes, Bandy, you're right.
Fox League teams, Thursday on Fox Footy Channel. Last week on The Gospel...
Who would be the most likely bloke you'd punch on with at your club?
I would have to say Nick Holland.
I had a fight at training with the great Dermot Barrett. Dropped it.
Probably until Heath Black left.
Oh! That's right, he dropped you.
Did you say he was an oxygen thief?
You can't afford to miss The Gospel, Friday on Fox Footy Channel.